ever going to start this podcast you've been talking about for like forever?
Do you think that anyone will actually want to listen to something like this?
What is your plan for an introduction?
Are you sure you want to talk about these topics? People usually disagree.
3 hours? Are you crazy?
Do you think you're some kind of expert or something?
Are you planning to have an intro song?
What if a bunch of people get really mad and hate you over this?
Do you even know how to make a podcast?
Are you just doing this because you like to argue with people?
Don't let this be just one more thing that you talk about doing, but never actually do.
Wouldn't it be better to do just one episode for each topic?
Stop trying to change people's opinions. Just live your own life.
Dude, people are never gonna agree. Just let it go.
Is this going to be a long intro? Because if it is, I'm bored already.
Hello, welcome to another fantastic episode of Why Can't We Talk About That? I'm going to start today's episode with a story. Why? Because it's my podcast and I can do whatever I want. This is a story of courage and bravery, of sadness and success. The story of an outcast emerging victorious. Okay, here we go. Pay attention. Many years ago, I purchased some shoes. Yes, I'm talking about shoes again. And these shoes were awesome. They weren't the prettiest shoes, but they were practical. They were comfortable with or without socks on. You could walk on dry land, wet land, underwater. You could walk on nails, glass, and even lava, all without getting hurt. They were called, as you may have guessed, Crocs. These shoes were amazing. You would think that everyone on the planet would want some, but no, they didn't. You know what they did? They laughed at me in my ridiculous-looking shoes. They called me names and made fun of me, but I just kept on wearing them. I took my stand in the face of adversity. I stared down my bullies and just kept right on walking. I was one man, fighting a battle against the world, all by myself. Just me and my Crocs, with no one else to comfort us. Even my own family members scoffed at me. Fast forward to now. All of a sudden, I see everyone wearing these shoes. Men, women, and children. I see 95-year-olds wearing them, and I see toddlers wearing them. I started wondering what changed. Why now and not 10 years ago? But then I realized why. It's all because of me. Because of my diligence, my courage in the face of ridicule, my commitment to protect a cause that I knew was worthy. Now the world can freely wear the best kind of footwear. So as you all prance around proudly wearing your Crocs, don't forget about the one that made it all possible for you. You are welcome. This week, my guest is Bryton Silva. I have known his dad since junior high school, and in a weird turn of events, Bryton, only 22 years old, is currently my boss. I haven't known Bryton very long, just a little over a year, but I connected with him almost instantly. His mix of wisdom and humor far exceeds his age. Things discussed in this episode are the message behind the music, Drake, Dr. Dre, Kanye West, Outkast, Taylor Swift, rigged elections, Hunter Biden's laptop, fake news, welfare checks, depression, AI, global currency, illegal immigration, healthcare, underground cities, reincarnation, worshiping the devil, equality, women working outside the home, who goes to hell, and morality. I hope this episode affects you in some way. Enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, it's over there by like Lululemon.
Okay, that's where I get my leggings from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look really good in those.
They're actually pretty soft.
Isn't that leggings? Or is that,
yeah.
or am I thinking there was LuLaRoe? I remember LuLaRoe.
Lululemon's leggings. Mostly.
It's also leggings.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have a pair of Lululemon shorts.
Okay. Yeah.
They're really comfortable.
Yeah. You sure you want to say that out loud? Because we are recording, so.
It's all good. I'm a man about it.
You're secure in your masculinity.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I tried on the leggings too.
Nice, dude.
They're
nice, dude.
All right, let's do this,
What are you drinking there, man?
Just coffee.
Just black coffee?
No, with a little bit of creamer in there.
Okay. All right. What kind of creamer are you? Are you like a French vanilla kind of guy or Irish cream?
French vanilla, secondary.
Okay.
I like hazelnut better.
Hazelnut, okay. You like Nutella? You a Nutella fan? No. You know, it's made from hazelnuts, dude.
Really?
Yeah. It's like peanut butter, but with hazelnut instead of peanuts.
Well, you're the wise one, not
Yeah,
me.
well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I like Nutella. My older daughter got me into Nutella a long time ago. I didn't even know what it was. But you ever go to Ventura Harbor.
I've been there, but no.
They have a place over there. I think they have this lots of places. In fact, they do, because I went with my daughter down in LA and we got one there too. But they have these little fish. They're like ice cream cones, but they're like waffle cones, but they look like a fish. And then they stick the ice cream in its mouth.
I would not eat that. It looked like a fish.
Oh yeah, well I mean it's like it's cool, but they have them, and some of them they have them like to where they make them like lined, like the inner lining of that waffle cone is Nutella.
Nice.
It's good, dude.
You're gonna have me so
Really
hyped
good.
up on like the chai tea and the coffee.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's the
let's go.
point, dude. That's the point, because you're usually such a mellow, quiet guy. I gotta pull it out of you.
Yeah, well, we're also in a different setting too.
Right.
It's also a little, you're like, oh wow, I get to see Bryton outside of work. You know?
Well, don't feel intimidated. This is no different than you talking to me at work.
No, I know.
We're just sitting in chairs, in a
That's
living
why
room,
I felt comfortable doing it. I was like, me and Ryan have deep conversations all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why when I have these with people that I already know pretty well, I don't get too nervous. But sometimes when I'm like people I've never met before, it's kind of like, I don't even know this guy, or this girl or whatever. It's kind of.
Do you feel like you have a better conversation when you know the person?
No, not necessarily. I mean, if I just meet them and they're kind of open and honest and they just like to talk about stuff, then we'll have a great conversation. Yeah. But I guess the thing about not knowing somebody is I don't know that about them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be, one answer or one word answers and just like, so what do you think about this? It's good. Okay, moving on. So what about this? Well, yeah, that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. This is going to be a 20-minute episode. It's like, but thankfully I haven't really had a whole lot of that. There's been a couple people that you kind of have to pull certain topics, but then once you get to a certain topic, they go forever. They're just for days. You almost have to be like, okay, well, let's move on to something else.
We're staying here.
So anyway, but yeah. So man, I'm glad you made it. This is awesome. Finally getting to do this. I know we talked season 1. I mentioned it to you a little bit, and you were kind of like, nah, and now season 2, you're like, oh, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So, but that's probably because you got to know me a little better now than when we first started working together. Because when I started working over there, that was like I don't think I had even really recorded any episodes yet. I had just started putting the vibe out there and seeing if anybody was interested to do this. So,
well, here we are.
Here we are, man. Let's do it. So I usually start with music just because that's a little more, it's not as controversial usually.
No, let's start off on the
Let's go right into politics and spirituality, But that's why, why can't we talk about that as the topic? But usually music doesn't really fall into that. But it's a nice, it usually helps people loosen up and talk because everybody, most people like music, whether depending on what,
not me.
Not you. Yeah. Well, then we'll move on to politics. No. So I already know that you're a music fan.
I like to make people mad.
So you are a music fan. We already know that. So if you had to pick one genre of music, I know everybody's cop out is I like everything, which is usually true. I feel the same way, but you probably have one that you're like, okay, this is what I really like.
I mean, I listen to everything except for like maybe jazz and like blues.
Okay.
If that's like the same genre, kind of.
It's the same at the library.
See, there you go.
That category is jazz/blues.
See,
so
they kind of run together.
They do a little bit, yeah.
I mean, every artist has a different unique about it, and I mean, you could go down country, rap, Taylor Swift, R&B, hip hop, but I would say probably like Dr. Dre, and when he dropped the album in 2001, because there's more to it than just music.
Right.
You got the West Coast, East Coast. They made movies about it. You got movements. I mean, down in Compton, they had wars. They had the National Guard down there because people were just so moved by it. They're on their side. They wanted more out of it.
Right.
Then you have all this stuff going on, and look at the rappers today, and you laugh at it sometimes.
I laugh at it all the time.
What is this?
A lot of the new rap, I can't even.
Nicki Minaj saying,
"Yeah, horrible."
Twerk, 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 twerk.
Right. Well, then you got like the Cardi B's and Megan Thee Stallion and all those ones that are.
And part of that is I think that, maybe obviously they're influencers. They're more than just artists, and I think they're putting the wrong message out there to kids.
Okay.
saying like, "Oh, you could do this, you could do this."
Yeah.
Because Cardi B was a stripper, right?
Right. At one point, yeah.
If my kids are listening to that, I don't want them to be like saying, "Oh, she was a stripper and I could become an artist too," you know?
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot more out there than just just music. What's the story behind it?
Right.
Because Eazy-E, Boys in the Hood. If you listen to it, it's not just music. He's telling a story.
Right.
So there's more to music than just saying words.
Of course.
Listening to the lyrics, listening to the beat. Is the music telling a story, or is it just trying to make money, trying to be a TikTok song?
Right. So you probably saw. So what you're saying is back then in the Dre days and then the Eazy-E days, there was more of a message to be given.
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to now, you think it's more of a money making scheme.
Absolutely. But even now, there's still some good music out there. Like I know Drake back in like 2014, 2010. I loved his music back then.
Yeah.
Now it's just like kind of like it's good, but it's not great.
Not the same as
It's
it was.
not the same.
Yeah. See, this is where we're going to get into some interesting territory because pretty much anything pop or hip hop related from like 2002 forward, I don't know a lot about. Like, I'm not even sure I've ever heard a Drake song before. Except, I think you played one for me at work, maybe, because I think I told you that at work. I don't really. I know who he is. I've seen him. I've seen his face, and I know, and I know some of these new ones. Usually, I only hear the new ones. Like I heard "WAP" by Cardi B only because it was so controversial.
WAP?
Yeah, WAP.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, it was being talked about in some of the podcasts that I listened to. They were like, "Oh, listen to this. This song is over the top as far as content, and everybody's mad about it."
Yeah.
But so that will take me to what you were saying. So you have a song like that, or like Cardi B and some of her other music, or you mentioned like Nicki Minaj and some of these rappers that are almost promoting these lifestyles.
Yeah.
And you have all these young girls that are listening to that, and so for you, I know you don't have kids yet, but like when you have kids, you're saying you wouldn't let them listen to that kind of music.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't let them listen to it.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't want them to be influenced in the wrong way by it.
Well, they would be though, most likely. Don't you think?
Not necessarily. You just got to tell them like, hey, like this person, like this is their backstory. You have to tell them this is like their backstory, and you have to show them like you have to open up their mind a little bit.
Okay.
And that's where I feel like, as a kid, just in general, I've always been more into like, all right, yeah, the news is saying this, but let's do a little bit more research.
Right. Well, you have to.
You have to.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get into politics for sure.
Well,
Because
absolutely.
That's definitely a problem.
And I'm not. I mean, there's things out there like Jay-Z, Drake, Beyonce, a bunch of other artists. They might be in the Illuminati for all we know.
Right.
There's things out there that they're in upper power. They're doing this. They're doing that. So
I saw a whole hour-long video one time on Beyonce where that was the claim.
Yeah.
And they were showing all these. Watch what she does at this concert. See how she makes this move. That's a sign of this.
Well,
and her album cover has this, which means this. And it was all this whole stuff about how she's all Illuminati. And
yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen videos on LeBron James doing like pre-game warm-ups, like during the national anthem, where he puts his hands together. That's for the triangle for Illuminati. He puts up like 3 fingers on each side to make 666 or like something like that.
Right.
Which, I mean, it might just be since he's been doing that since a kid. Because I mean, when I'm thinking, I put my hands together like this.
yeah,
like a triangle.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. You don't know why he's doing it.
You don't absolutely. You don't know why he's doing it.
Right.
But there's all these things out there saying like, oh, this guy's out there. I mean, you had the scandal against this crypto company with all these pro athletes, FTX, I believe. They're promoting it. Tom Brady was involved with it, but I mean, do we really know what's going on out there?
Never.
There's always a bigger story out there.
Of course. Yeah, for sure. But before we go down that road, because we're going to get to that for sure, because that's definitely a good topic to get into. So you brought up Dre. You said his 2001 album?
Yeah, I
So you're
believe
not talking about The Chronic. You're talking about...
No, The Chronic.
Okay, so The Chronic was like 93?
93?
Yeah, so that's way predates you.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive that you know. I mean, it is a very influential album, of course. So I mean, the fact that you know it isn't that surprising. But 2001 was the Still Dre. I think.
I think that's the one that I was talking about. Yeah.
Which that song is awesome too.
Oh yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, but we're going back. You're talking about like Eazy-E, NWA.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's stuff that you mean your dad were listening to when we were younger than
Absolutely.
you are. So
yeah.
I mean, now when you're being exposed to that old of music, is that like from your parents, from older friends, or I mean, are you like?
I would say my dad.
Okay.
My dad mostly. I mean, my friends listen to it too.
Okay.
But I mean, you get together with your friends. Everybody's DJ. Everybody's like, oh, let's play this song. Let's play that song. Let's play this song.
But generally, you wouldn't think that they would play something from the 80s. I mean, especially like old gangster rap. You know, maybe some like.
I mean, we listen to E40. E40's been around forever. I mean, we've always joked about all these other songs. I mean, in class one time, we had to memorize a poem, and Noah forgot to memorize a poem, so he just read off a song. He printed out a paper. He said, "This is my poem," and it was
lyrics to E40.
Boys in the Hood.
Oh, Boys in the Hood.
And he just got up there and rapped it.
Nice.
And it was awesome. And the teacher was so mad at him for not memorizing a poem.
He actually rapped it, or he just read it?
He rapped it. Like,
did he really?
Like from the beginning to the end.
With no beat, or did he play like
no
an
beat.
instrumental?
No beat. Just straight up lyrics.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
Like, everybody in the class had to grade each other, the peers. Oh, and I forget who had him, but he got an A+.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and everybody thought it was great, except for the teacher.
Yeah.
Because obviously the assignment was to memorize a poem. Mm-hmm. I mean, isn't a song a poem, somewhat?
For the most part, especially from back what you're talking about, back when songs had meanings and a story, yes. But you can't take something like WAP and say that's poetry. Or
absolutely not.
You know, or some of this newer stuff and say that's poetry. No, it's not. It's just...
It's words and a beat to make money.
Right. But you look at some of the ones like Tupac or Eminem or some of the... I would say that's poetry.
Oh, absolutely.
Music, for sure.
Yeah. And I still think Eminem is disrespected in some ways, and he makes some great music. Totally. Great beats. And,
extremely talented, yeah.
And just because of everything, what he did and what's going on, I feel like people just don't like his music. And I can say the same thing about Dr. Dre.
Right.
I mean, some people just, especially in today's age, they're just like, oh, I can't believe this guy did that.
Yeah. Well, then it gets personal, right? You get into people's personal lives, and maybe there's some merit there, but for me, the funny thing about Dre is that I was saying, I grew up listening to NWA, and he was always the worst one in the group to me, as far as vocally. Like, to me, he couldn't rap. He sounded horrible, but I loved Eazy-E, MC Ren, Ice Cube, all those guys were awesome. But then, that's why when The Chronic dropped in like 93 or whatever that was, I was like, oh, Dre's got a solo album, who cares, right? Yeah. Like, really? He's the worst one. And then I heard it, and then he brought Snoop in with Nothing But a G thing, and I was oh my gosh. And then it just blew up after that.
But what makes Dr. Dre's song so good is his beat.
Oh, totally. And that's what he was doing with NWA also, for sure. Behind the scenes, great. But as far as a rapper... But then when The Chronic came out, he's pretty decent on there. I don't listen to him and go, oh, this is the best rapper I've ever heard. But again, it was the songs that they were creating. It was the fact that he had Snoop on like 10 of the 12 songs on that album. You know, I don't know if you remember, but when he first introduced Snoop, it was on a song called Deep Cover from a movie soundtrack.
I don't.
Okay, so there's a movie, I want to say it had Lawrence Fishburne in it. It's like a gangster mobster kind of movie, I think. I don't remember the movie. I know I saw it, but anyway, the video came out, and that was the world's first introduction into Snoop. Yeah. And everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is awesome!" You know, and it was the two of them together in the song, and then The Chronic came out, and like I said, Snoop was on most of the songs on that album. It was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I forget who it's by, but I love. It's by Warren G. Regulators.
Oh yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite.
Well, see, that's all part of
Yeah.
that group, right?
Yeah.
Because Warren G is Dre's brother, not full brother. I don't know if they're half or step or how that works, but they're brothers somehow. And Warren G is the one that introduced Dre to Snoop, because I want to say, I might be getting this wrong, but I thought it was Dre. I mean, not Dre. Warren G, Nate Dogg, and Snoop were a group. And Dre had heard some of it, and he goes, "Who's that rapping with you?" And he goes, "Oh, that's Snoop." And Dre's like, "I want to talk to that guy."
Yeah.
And then that's where that all started, and that's why, but I think Warren G's good in his own right. So I'm like, if that's your brother, Dre, why didn't you put him out way before? Because all the Snoop stuff happened first, then he put out Warren G, which that album, that Regulate album is great.
Oh yeah.
The next one was so, but that Regulate album is great.
Then out of all the artists in the world, anybody can have this debate about who's the best.
Right.
It's just like
It's a matter of opinion. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's same thing about basketball, football, hockey, all this stuff.
Right.
I mean, you could have four guys up there on the Mount Rushmore,
Yes.
and any of them could be number one.
Right. Except not hockey, because there's only one great one,
I mean,
which is Gretzky. Right. I mean, he has the nickname, so therefore he must be the greatest of all.
I mean, then you could throw football out the window too, and have Tom up there.
Yeah. Well, most people will say Tom's the best ever. I know a lot of people don't like him personally, and
It is
think
what
he's
it is.
think he's a cheater and a whiner and all that stuff. But I don't really follow a whole lot. You know me, I don't really follow sports. I was excited to be watching part of that Lakers game last night at work. That was I haven't watched basketball in forever. That was really cool.
The Warriors choked a 12-point lead.
I know. I saw that. So now this 3-1 series.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so I mean, I agree with you as far as so. Back to what I just asked though about the genre. So, would you say hip hop is probably your favorite genre?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rap.
Okay.
In there.
Okay, so then let's talk about that. Let's talk about, give me like maybe your top 5 favorite rappers of all time, give or take.
I mean, NWA's in there, all of them.
Which NWA guy's solo stuff did you prefer more? Not sure. It's hard to say because Eazy-E died so long ago, and then Ice Cube's
Eazy-E's still really good.
Well, he's dead now.
Well, I know, but
listening to it is still good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Snoop, I know he's in there, but just his old music is really good.
Right.
Drake's in there.
Oh, really? You put Drake in there. So I'm going to have to ask you to give me, not right now on the spot, but at some point I would like you to put together 5 must-hear Drake songs so I can give all 5 a listen and so I can give a genuine assessment of him, because I really don't know any of his music. I see him on the top of the charts often, so he must be doing something. Like I say, you don't have to do it now, but
I know.
later on you can give that to me. Because one of the cool things about this podcast is I hear new bands, new artists, stuff. I go check them out later. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that sucks. What's this guy talking about? Other times they become one of my favorites.
I know this one's going to be controversial.
Okay.
But Kanye West.
I like Kanye West. Again, another one that I haven't heard a whole lot from, though. I haven't heard a whole lot. I think he's his personal life. I think he's got some mental issues going on right now.
Oh, absolutely. But
people say he's a musical genius, but I haven't really heard a lot. So
he is a musical genius. But like you said, that's why I said it's going to be controversial.
Right.
Because of his
personal life. Yeah.
I would say probably with Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Eminem, and Drake, Forever.
Okay.
You got to give that one a listen. All 4 of them are pretty legit in that song.
Oh, they're all together in the same song?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
What's the song called? Forever?
Forever.
Like the letter 4? The letter
no.
4. The number 4? Like the letter 4?
No, F-O-R. Forever.
Okay, and that's Drake, Eminem, who else?
That one's Drake, Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Eminem.
Gotcha. Lil Wayne, I can never get into him, but I'll check out the song and see.
Yeah.
Check that out for sure.
Then you could go anywhere from there, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, you could have a Mount Rushmore of all the rappers up there.
Right.
And just debate it all.
Yeah. Well, give me an example of a rapper you just can't stand, like somebody you think sucks. Like you listen to this and you go, "This is horrible." How do people like this?
I think all the new rapping is god awful. Little Uzi, little this, little that.
Yeah, they're all
like come up with something better than just little. Like
they're all little.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's.
I like Migos, but I mean,
okay.
One just got shot not too long ago.
I heard about
so
that.
Like,
yeah. Did he die or just get shot?
No, he died.
He did die.
He got capped in the head.
Oh.
Over like bowling or like some like dice game in the back of an alley or something like that.
Sad, man. All that stuff's happening all the time. It's like, it's horrible.
And then in the last like 5 days, Texas has had a shooting like every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Well, one was a shooting, and then there was the car, the guy that
I saw
plowed
that.
through all the
crowd.
people, and it was like 8. The last I heard was 8 people dead and 12 injured or something.
I thought Texas was supposed to be safe.
Well, nowhere safe.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, Texas well, it still is. I mean,
Yeah.
even though that's happening there, it doesn't mean all of a sudden that's one of the worst places to live.
Oh no, I mean,
I have lots of. Oh, your sister lives there.
My sister lives in Texas, and
right.
I love going out there. I'm going out there in June, so.
It's gonna be a scorching in June.
Oh, I know. But you know
Pack
what?
your Speedo.
You have to get off the you have to get off the plane in your cowboy boots because it's Texas.
That's right. Yeah, cowboy boots and your Speedo.
Yeah,
with the spurs and the boots.
I'll have the Speedo packed in the bag for the pool.
Nice. Yeah. No, I love Texas. I've been there a few times. My in-laws used to live there, so we used to go visit. I have another friend that lives over there, and he usually meets up with us when we go over there. But yeah, the heat and the humidity there is not as bad as like Orlando.
Oh no,
because Orlando was brutal when we went in July one year.
You were telling me about that in July when I was talking about Caden going to baseball. And you're like, don't go in July 10th. I'm like, right, it's July 6th to the 9th.
Yeah. Like,
so hopefully the 10th it starts getting worse.
Right. Yeah. It's what is it? I think it's Jim Gaffigan in one of his stand-ups. He talks about it. He goes, it gets so hot in the summer you can actually hear the sun. It's like.
I've actually thought I've like heard heat before, like you look outside on like 100-degree day and you can see the radiation coming off the asphalt and you're like,
oh yeah, you're like, I'm not leaving the house today. There's AC all day, you know.
Oh, I don't have AC.
Well, you don't need it here. If you lived in Orlando, you would.
I think every house should have AC in America.
You think so? Even in like in Idaho.
Absolutely.
Or parts of Canada.
I sleep hot, Ryan.
That's right. You do. Yeah.
In the morning, I hear the heater come on.
Yeah.
I wake up as soon as the heater comes on. And I'm like, oh, that's going off.
Yeah. I remember you saying that. I used to sleep hot too, and now I'm the opposite. I'm freezing all the time. Yeah. So you get older, and then you start to freeze or something. But
according to every person at Ricky's, the old guy that works there.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The old wise guy. Yeah. Come on now, let's get it right. So let's go way back to, if you can remember, your very first musical exposure to where the first moment you thought to yourself, that's awesome. I want to listen to that again.
I would say I was probably like 9, 8.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents bought me a little iPod Shuffle.
Ooh, nice.
And it was one of those that didn't even have the buttons on it where you control it by the earbuds.
Wow.
And I would say I probably had like a good like 25 songs on there.
Okay.
And it was so if I was like, how old did I say I was? Like 9?
9.
So that was like 2010. And my parents had a laptop, so I got all my music off of the laptop. So I would have to say it would be like what we're talking about, Dr. Dre, like Nicki Minaj, all that stuff, because that's when they were popular.
Right. Real wholesome stuff for a 9-year-old to be.
Hang on. I'm trying to think of one of the other songs. I'm drawing a blank right now, but it was
You'll remember later.
It will be on the tip of my tongue.
When you're driving home, you'll remember.
Yeah. I have it in my head right now. I can dance to it, but I can't say any of the lyrics. Oh, God.
Who was it by? Do you even know who it was by?
That's who I'm trying to think of.
Oh, okay.
And I can't even name the song.
Okay.
Bruno Mars is on there.
Okay.
So
Bruno Mars, like Uptown Funk. And,
yeah.
Okay. Bruno Mars to me is like the modern day Michael Jackson.
I would agree.
Like
I had some Michael Jackson.
Sounds a lot like him.
I mean, you know the story between my dad. He worked out at.
Oh yeah.
Didn't you work out there?
Yeah, he's the one that got me the job out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was Michael Jackson on there. I remember when he died.
Yeah.
I was at my grandma's house, and my grandma was crying because she
Your
worked.
Grandma Gail.
Yeah, Gail.
Okay.
She was crying just because she knew, like
she knew him, and she She was one of the good ones that worked out there for sure. Absolutely,
and just. I mean, I still have some Michael Jackson on my phone, and
got to, dude.
Yeah,
you got to. You don't get the title King of Pop for nothing.
I mean, if I could, that's probably one thing. If I could go see him perform, I would.
Yeah.
Because when he died, it was like a week. He died a week before he was going to drop his album, right?
I know he was. He was practicing for a tour he was going to be starting.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, it was this extensive tour, and that's why he was pushing himself so hard. And that's what that movie, This Is It. There's a documentary movie called This Is It, and that was all about. It was the making of the tour. Basically, it was showing all the prep and all the stuff he was doing to get ready for the tour.
Ryan, this is killing me. I need to figure out what artist.
Yeah. Go ahead, look it up.
It was like.
Yeah.
Caroline, I hope you don't crash into a ditch.
Did you type that into Google? You should get it. You just type that in. That's a pretty obscure lyric.
Caroline, I hope you don't crash into a ditch. Outkast.
Oh,
Outkast.
Okay. Well, hey, so I got a funny Outkast story from the ranch with Chris. Do you know Chris Tucker?
No.
He was what was the big one? Rush Hour with Jackie Chan. He was in Friday with Ice Cube. Okay. You know Chris Tucker, the funny. Hey man, he's like the really funny comedian guy. He's in a bunch of movies back then. Well, he was hanging out at the ranch for a while. He was during Michael's album Invincible, I think, because Chris Tucker was on one of those songs, and we were out there playing basketball. No, I wasn't playing. I was doing the scoreboard, but he was out there playing with a bunch of Jacksons, like a bunch of Michael's nephews, and a bunch of people that were out there, and they were playing like 4-on-4 or something, and we were doing the scoreboard, and we were also playing music out there. Well, that song came on, Miss Jackson.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Yeah. And he every time he would score on them, he would say that, I'm sorry, Jacksons, because he kept scoring on them and stuff. It was funny. And then he started getting mad at me because he shot his foot was on the line for a 3, and I gave him 2, right? And he's like, "That was a 3, man. That was a 3." I said, "No, dude, your foot was on the line." He's, "No, man, that was a 3." I said, "That was a 2. I was watching your foot was on the line." And the whole rest of the game, he just kept coming back at me. That should have been a 3. Should have been a 3.
That's awesome.
It's like whatever, man.
You probably got to meet some famous people out there.
Yeah, it was, dude. That was me and your dad had so much fun out there.
Yeah,
we had some fun times out there.
Is it funny going full circle, like you growing up with my dad, and here you are talking with his son?
Well, I told you when I first started working over there, it was weird for me because you look and sound a lot like your dad. I'm sure you hear that a lot, but it was weird because I felt like I was back in time talking to your dad at 21 or 20 or whatever, how old you were when I started there, which was weird because I'm not 20. So it's like, here I am in my 40s, and I'm talking to the guy I knew from long. It was kind of a weird
adjustment period.
Yeah, it was kind of strange, and it's like, oh, this is really weird. This guy, it's just like, it just reminds me of his dad so much. But but anyway, yeah. Okay, so earliest memory is your the iPod
iPod Touch, listening to like Outkast,
right,
Nicki Minaj,
okay.
Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. There's some other things on there, but that was when they bought their first house.
Your parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we lived off of Main Street.
Oh wow. Downtown?
Uptown.
Okay. Yeah, I guess uptown, technically.
Yeah. And, I mean, if that was in 2008, 2009, I was 8 then.
Okay.
So, even earlier than that. So
Yeah.
what I said. Running around in the backyard.
Yeah.
Not knowing anything.
Mm-hmm. That's early.
Thinking the world was fine when we were in a free fall.
Yeah.
In 2008.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to worry about that when you're 8 years old.
Oh, absolutely not. You don't know anything going on. You're just trying to show up to school the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like,
yeah.
oh.
And you shouldn't be worried about it. I mean, that's not stuff for kids to worry about. You worry about being a kid and having fun,
When's the next baseball game?
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And
so
your parents are supposed to deal with all that. But, like, now that I see it, like, I had a really good childhood.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
With music, sports, parents. Right. I mean, my parents are awesome. So
yeah.
They got me through everything. Yeah. They're always been there. Good supporting system.
Yeah. That's a good thing to say in case they listen to this.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll be propping them up, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I want to make my parents proud in every way.
Right.
So, I mean, I look up to both of them. My mom's my boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give and takes
Mine
on
too.
that. Sorry, Mom. But, I mean, I get perks, but I also get the stick most of the time.
Right.
You know how it goes.
Well, and that's cool because, like I said, I've known your dad since like 7th grade, and I've known him really well, and we did a lot of different things. You know, whether it was junior high or whether it was working at the ranch together, we're working at the other pizza place we used to work at together. But your mom, I'm getting to know her now more than I ever have because of the restaurant and her being my boss and stuff. And
I'm not your
it's
boss,
kind of
right?
cool. I mean, you're my boss.
No,
she's the big boss.
She's
the boss over you.
Yeah, she's the one that gets everybody in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm just there to do the.
Well, that's why I cracked up at her text.
Day-to-day.
So it's been cool getting to know her too. And I knew her back then. In fact, me and your dad worked at the pizza place together when your parents met each other. I'm pretty sure that's where they met because she got a job as an in-house at the place him and I were cooking / driving for. But I didn't really know her, you know.
Yeah.
But
staying on topic of that, I would say the best trait my mom has ever taught me is don't beat around the bush.
Yeah. Just be up front.
Just be up front. Yep. Shoot it right in the heart.
Yeah.
Put the arrow right in the heart.
Yes.
Whatever you wanted to say, just don't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Just be honest. Be honest with yourself too.
Yeah. It's good.
And you learn a lot about yourself. I mean, just in 5 months, I've done things that I never thought I would do before. I put on 30 pounds of muscle, Ryan.
30 pounds?
Yeah. I weighed myself yesterday.
30 pounds?
Yeah.
Dang.
I ran into a girl at Adriana.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, you look different. And I'm like, I went home and thought about it.
You're like, that's because I'm ripped.
No. She's like, is it the beard? I'm like, no, I had a beard when you worked there. And I'm like, it's because I put on 30 pounds. I look different. Like, you see it different in my face.
Yeah.
And I mean, it goes everywhere. But
But most people say they put on 30 pounds. It's
a bad thing.
It's like fat, or you look 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah. I just had to buy jeans the other day, and I went up 2 sizes in my waist. And I was like,
see, if you were a chick, that would have been the end of the world. You would have been. You'd be home crying right now. You wouldn't be here doing this podcast.
Don't even get me started on that.
All right. Well, let's get back to music. We got a couple more for you here. What would you say is the most influential musician to you personally? Someone that impacted you in some way, shape, or form.
Well, it's not Cardi B because I'm not a girl.
All right. I'm glad it's not Cardi B.
Yeah, me too.
I might like you less. I don't know.
Can we come back to that question?
Sure. Yeah. Another one would be, let's see. Okay, so this is kind of a weird one. And this one kind of is just something that I do. And this may not be true of everybody, but something I do is, it's not very often, maybe twice a year, where I'll hear a song from somebody I've never heard before, and I'm just instantly drawn into it. Like, it's just the greatest thing ever. And then from that moment forward, I have to get everything they've ever released. Sometimes it might be like a band that maybe that's their first album that I'm hearing the song. Sometimes it's like, oh, this band's been around for 30 years and they have 14 albums or something, and I'd find him getting all of it, and I listened through a whole catalog. So if you ever do that, what's the most recent one that's happened with?
I do that all the time.
You do? Okay.
There's actually an app for it called Shazam.
Yeah. So you can find out who's who.
Like you just play the first couple lyrics on the radio or whatever, and it tells you. I've been on this Kanye West thing for a while now.
Okay.
It was a Kanye West song. I don't know which one. Then I just started listening from his like favorite, whatever most listened to, and I think that is just give me a second.
The one with the teddy bear on it?
No.
No? I always see a teddy bear on his album.
Yeah. I mean, All the Lights is a good one.
That's a song?
Yeah.
All the Lights?
All the Lights. I mean, it...
Classic.
The beat, his lyrics, I like it. The one with the teddy bear on it, All Falls Down, that one's a good one. But I just went through this loophole, and I was like, when did this album get released? And I thought it was a new album.
Okay.
It got released 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I was a senior in high school when this album got released. How come I didn't know about it?
Right.
And I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, yeah, when that album got released, Kanye did some weird stuff with it, and you couldn't even get it on the Apple Store. You had to go download something on the internet to even get into the songs to listen to the album. Like, only Kanye would do that because it's Kanye West, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did that with Kanye for a while. That was the most recent one.
Okay.
Going back to the most influential, I would say maybe Taylor Swift.
Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about that. Are you a Swiftie?
I am.
I am too. Wow, we have something to bond over.
I never knew that, Ryan. out of all the things.
Yeah. Well, my older daughter turned me on to Taylor Swift, and that's something her and I bond over. And when new albums come out, we talk about them.
You're a dad, you know, you get it.
Yeah. But I like her music a lot.
Oh, yeah.
She's very talented.
Very talented.
There's all the different styles she's gone through and stuff.
I think that my favorite Taylor was, I would say a little bit of country Taylor.
Okay.
Like where she kind of started out.
So self-titled, Speak Now, Fearless, those ones.
But my favorite album by Taylor's Red.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think 1989 is my favorite. Just because I love the pop stuff she does.
That one's good. Yeah. My sister just went to a concert in Dallas.
Okay. My daughter's got one coming up in, I think, July.
Yeah.
Or August, summer.
In LA?
Yeah, LA area. Yeah.
They went 1989.
The tour?
The tour.
Okay.
My sister, my mom, my nan, the one that passed away.
Oh, okay.
My mom, they all went to the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
And they didn't take me. I was so sad.
They're like, this is a girls only trip.
And I was like, how come I can't go?
Yeah.
You know I like Taylor Swift. I want to go.
What did they say?
I want to go.
What was their reason?
Nope. No boys.
Oh, it was a girls only trip.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
like, that's so
That's messed up, man.
And I just wanted to go because I like Taylor Swift.
Right.
And but I mean, she makes great music. I mean, even her new albums.
So I'm behind.
I would say even her new albums, like you know how we were just talking about new rappers and how they're garbage.
Right.
I would say she's consistently always good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I haven't yet to hear an album of hers I didn't appreciate.
Yeah.
I mean, I like some other than others, obviously, but some more than others, I should say. But I think I'm behind at least one, maybe two.
Oh, I'm behind on
albums.
2 or 3 albums.
Okay, so I think Folklore might be the last one I heard, and then she had Evermore.
Yeah.
And then Midnight's maybe is the newest one.
Midnight's good. Okay. I have listened to Midnight. Midnight's good.
Okay. Yeah. My daughter hears them like the day they came out. I remember asking her, have you heard Taylor Swift's new album? It was like the next day.
Yeah.
So, have you heard the new album yet? She goes, yeah, I've listened to it like 8 times.
Yeah.
I was like all the way through. She's like, yep.
Lover's a good song. That one's from...
That's a good album too. Yeah. That's more upbeat, poppy kind of stuff that I like.
Yeah.
You know, I like her acoustic and country stuff too. I like her storytelling stuff as well. She's got a lot of story style songs.
And even with the whole like drama thing with like the album thing, she came out and remade her albums, so she
because of the producer.
Yeah, and she got all the money for it.
Yeah.
I'm happy she did that because she did make her own music.
Right.
It wasn't it.
Right.
She was under a contract. You know?
Oh yeah.
And I get that.
Right.
I mean, you think about sports and all this stuff. People are under contracts. People ask for trades. Whatever. I'm happy that she made her own.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's hard for me though to, and this is maybe, I don't know, maybe you're this way too. You can let me know. But like for me, the first version I hear of any song is the one I'm going to like better. And any variation of that is going to, like, people say, oh, this remix is great. I say, I hate remixes only because, but there's been cases where I hear the remix is the first version I hear. And then when I hear the original, I'm like, oh, the remix is way better. Yeah. You know, it's just because whatever the first one I hear usually is the one I'm going to draw to. So when she does these Taylor's versions albums, it's cool, but I listen to it and I go, this is not what I remember hearing, you know? But I do appreciate the new songs.
Also, going back to before, with like my favorite rappers, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole.
Okay.
Are also
those are ones has shown me. And I'm recently coming around to Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Because my first, you may have already heard this story, but my first introduction into Kendrick Lamar was the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
When it was Dre, Snoop, Eminem. You know,
that performance was bad by him.
It was.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And I listened to it and I go, why do people like this guy? This is no good. No, but then, you know.
I think they gave him the wrong song.
Maybe.
To be honest.
Maybe. I was trying to figure out why he was even there. Like, you got this whole, like this group of, like, obviously Snoop and Eminem are related, not related, but I mean, they're connected to Dre as far as music goes. Was Kendrick Lamar, like, signed to Dre's label? Was he part of that? I mean, I know he's from Compton, but still, you know, I didn't think there was a connection. Neither with Mary J. Blige. She was there, too. I can't
answer that, Ryan. Yeah. Maybe because he is from Compton.
Maybe. They just figured, oh, you're just from Compton. You might as well throw him in there.
And I think he recently dropped an album for that Super Bowl.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe everybody was hyped up for Kendrick. So
could be. Maybe he's more relevant. People are more excited about him than
I think that was probably it. To get a younger audience more involved.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's about ratings these days.
Right.
Who's watching what? I mean, the Super Bowl is going to be one of the biggest ratings ever, but what do you do during halftime? You eat half the time. Yeah. You go outside. You go to the bathroom.
That's what I do during the whole game.
But you're not a football fan, right?
I'm not. I'm a food fan, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I left halfway in the fourth quarter because I was just over it.
This last one?
Yeah.
Was that the...
That was the Eagles and the Chiefs, I know.
Oh, and the Chiefs, that's right.
And I'm the biggest football fan ever, but I was just like...
You're like, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. Was it close?
I won my bet either way, so I'm good.
Oh, there you go. You're like, I made my money, I'm out.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
But where do we leave off on Taylor?
I'm trying to remember. Oh, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
We were talking about concerts and that you didn't get to go to.
Oh, yeah.
And albums. And
my sister just went to the one in Dallas, and they're flying out here, I believe, to the one that your daughter's going to, and they're going to see her twice.
Oh, they're going to go again? Is your mom going to go to that one too?
And I still wasn't invited, right?
I would tell you just to get a ticket and go, but you can't get tickets now, so... Unless you get it from like a scalper or something.
Well, I'm not going to spend $400 on a Taylor Swift ticket either.
Might be worth it just to show up and see your mom and your sister and be like, hey, what's going on?
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, I knew you guys were going to be here.
No, but my aunt goes all out for that stuff. She got like floor seats, backstage passes, all that stuff.
Is your mom's sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, I would say Taylor Swift has the most influence. And And going off of like masculinity, it's okay to say stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
I mean, just because it's a female artist
doesn't
mean anything.
Right. Well, it means she's a female artist.
Well, yeah.
Or is she?
No.
I mean, these days you can't even define that stuff anymore.
No, she's dated Harry Styles and stuff. So.
Which he's kind of a woman now, so.
Is he really?
Well, I mean, he's wearing dresses and stuff. Just messing. No, he. As far as I know, he has not come out as trans or gay or anything. But yes,
didn't she also date like Calvin Harris?
I don't know who that is. She dated everybody, dude. Every album's about five different guys.
I've always wondered how famous people go about that.
Dating?
Yeah.
Oh, it's rough, dude. That's why most of them don't last.
But like, also body counts too.
Mm-hmm. That too.
Like, do they just?
Yeah. Well, what I heard about Taylor Swift, and of course, who knows if this is true, but the reason that for a while so many guys were dumping her is because she wouldn't. have sex with them.
Really?
Like she was telling them, no, I'm not going to do that with you. And they're like, we've been together 6 months. What are you talking about? You know, this is the norm. We should have done this a long time ago. And she's like, no, I'm just not into that.
Unless like we get married.
I guess. I mean, I don't know if that was her stance or not. But I just heard that the reason why so many guys had decided to break up with her was for
think
that
about
reason.
all the Kardashians and Jenners. How many guys? I mean, yeah, I believe it's Kylie or Kendall Jenner.
One of them.
I mean, she's been with like what 6 NBA players.
Oh, probably, yeah. Yeah. Well, Kim was with an NBA guy for a while too. Right after she split from who was that? Who was she married to?
I've always wondered how they go about their business. So because we're just average people.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's what it is, right? Yeah. They say people that they're famous for doing nothing.
Yeah. And I know that famous people also want a normal life too, where they don't want to be in the limelight.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
But some of them don't.
I mean, I believe it was Pink. She has a house out in San Ynez Valley, and she goes wine tasting all the time, and half the people out there don't even know who she is.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah,
that's why I always envy like authors. Like most authors, like we're talking about people that make millions of dollars. Their books are all over the shelves. People know their name,
but they don't know what they look like.
Right. Like somebody like James Patterson, or some of these just huge authors that put out 2 books a year and they're multimillionaires and all this stuff. They can go out in public and no one will ever know it's them.
Yeah.
But if you're like a movie star or a musical artist or something, that's a little more difficult because people have seen your music video, they've seen your movie or TV show, and they're like, okay, this guy, that's so-and-so, and you can't even take your family out to dinner without the mobs rushing you. Oh, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? And I mean, I understand why people like Eminem and like Jim Carrey and some of you see these big things. What a jerk! Yeah. He just totally cussed out this family that just wanted his autograph. I'm like, he wants to have a normal life. You know, it's like that's why, going back to the ranch, that's why out there so many celebrities would come out there with their families. Because they could come out to a place that had a movie theater, it had an amusement park, it had a zoo, right? And they could live like normal people without mobs following them around everywhere. They could take their family to see a movie. Hey, let's go to the video arcade. Let's go to the zoo. And you don't have to worry about it, right? Because, you don't treat them like that out there. You don't mob them, Yeah, that's why I've said for years, I wouldn't mind being rich, but I would hate to be famous.
Yeah.
I never want to be famous. I don't want anybody to know who I am. I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, I keep my friends and my family tight, and that's about all I need.
You keep your circle tight.
It's like I don't need to be mobbed by people. I don't need people to be harassing my children because they don't like something I said or did, or I mean, you see this stuff all the time. But So anyway, so we got all through that just from Taylor Swift. Wow, that's pretty. It's pretty incredible.
Find something new that we have in common.
I'm glad we can be Swifties together, dude. Maybe next tour we'll get concert tickets together. We'll get backstage passes.
We'll make everybody jealous.
Yeah. We'll get whatever the passes are where we get to go up on stage with her
and start singing a song.
Sing songs. Yeah, we'll do a duet. We'll do that one from Lover where she does the duet with is it the Panic at the Disco guy or the
I don't know.
My Chemical Romance. I get all those guys confused. I forgot the guy's name. It might even be the song Lover, the actual song. Doesn't it have a guy in it? Brendan Urie? He's a singer for one of those emo bands. I forgot which one. Is he I think it's Panic at the Disco. Again, pre-20 or 2002, I have no idea who anybody is. But one of the ones...
well, you know who Taylor Swift is.
I do know who Taylor Swift is, yes. And she's pretty awesome. But... another one that speaking of like I was talking about how I go get everything they own when I first hear something. One of the ones I did that with was 21 Pilots. I think we may have already talked about 21 Pilots a little bit on Back at Work. No? Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I know who that is.
You a fan or no? So? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, see, I just lost my mind.
They're all right.
I heard Guns for Hands, and I was like, oh, these guys are
See, going back to the remix, I know you don't really like the new rap or anything, but in high school, Mask Off got dropped.
Mask Off?
Mask Off.
Is that an album?
No, it's just a song.
By who?
I believe it's Future. But that song was like the hit. Then they came out with Kendrick Lamar in the remix.
Oh, okay. Oh, like he was featured, like he was, okay.
in the remix.
Those are kind of cool when they add another person to it.
Yeah, but I can't listen to that song without Kendrick in there.
Right.
And it's just like...
Because he makes it better.
I just think like the first one was god-awful. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how come you just didn't do this in the first place? You know?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes that's true.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, for sure. And there's been remakes of old songs the Marmalade, Lady Marmalade. That was a good one.
I don't know who did it, but I think like Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion, and Cardi B made the remix of like The Boys in the Hood Are Hard. But like
they do?
Yeah, they made one.
Oh, see, I don't know. I wouldn't even... Just hearing that makes me cringe.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you going to take a classic song and just ruin it?
I think it's those three along those lines. But I was like, when I heard it, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Well, now I'm intrigued to listen to it just to see how bad it is.
Well, I mean, we could take a break and listen to it right now. I'm going to pull it up for you right now.
No, we don't have to go there. I'll let's do it later. But, so that's... Yeah, I can't even fathom that. That's like, are you kidding me?
I don't know if that's the right song, but it's along those lines.
Okay. Maybe they just took like the chorus or something, and that was part of the chorus, and they paid tribute to that classic song.
You probably had to pay millions for it.
Oh, I'm sure.
But,
I'm sure. All right. Well, I guess. One more. This is the other one. Are you? And this kind of leads us into politics, kinda. But like when it comes to music, do you find that you're more of a lyric person or more of a musical person? Like what do you notice first? What draws you in?
I don't know how that leads you to politics, right?
Well, because a lot of lyrics are political, and when I say political, I don't mean they talk about the president. I mean they talk about hot topic issues. Yeah.
To be honest, it depends on the artist. And I'm typically with these newer rappers, I have to like the beat.
Okay.
The beat has to draw me in because they all sound the same.
Because their lyrics are crap anyway.
Yeah. They all sound the same to me.
Right.
Like that. So it has to be the beat. But with the older rappers, I could say I could fall in love with the lyrics.
To the point that if the beat sucks, you would still like the song because the lyrics are good?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good answer.
But, I mean, let's be honest, they don't make crappy beats. You know, the older people.
Yeah, not usually. Yeah.
I mean, you see all these like videos on Dr. Dre and stuff, and like school rallies, they start playing the piano, and like everybody gets hyped for it because of his one song. Is it Still by Dre?
Oh, the bling 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 bling. Yeah.
But I mean, it honestly just depends.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I guess it depends. Like I think the beat is what will draw me in first, or not even necessarily the beat, but if we're talking hip hop maybe. But I mean even like a rock song.
Yeah,
if it's an awesome riff, or it's just something that just really if it sounds cool, then later I might delve into their lyrics. And sometimes I'm sorry I did. And I'm like, oh, this song's about something bad or something I don't like or whatever, But
I mean, I would have to agree with you. The beat draws you in. Then you go back and look at the lyrics, and I mean, there's some Drake lyrics that I like that are like, you spit straight fire right there.
Oh, really? Like he's good. He's a good lyricist. Do you think too?
I don't want to. I don't know. There's some songs where I'm like, and there's some songs I'm like, dude, what are you rapping about?
Right.
So it just depends.
Okay.
And same thing with like Lil Wayne and Eminem. I mean, Eminem just spits straight fire anyways.
Yeah, I think where most of his talent comes from is lyrics.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not just talking about the controversial, because for a while there, especially in the beginning, I think he was just pushing the envelope. He was just like, how crazy can I be?
He was always trying to cross the line without crossing the line.
Right. Yeah. Well, what was that? Well, the first album he had the picture of the the woman in the trunk and her legs are hanging out of the trunk and he's on the, and that was before he wrote Stan. I mean, Stan obviously deals with that too, but I mean, there's the whole idea, and he had lots of songs about that. He's talking about killing his ex-wife and like it's that kind of thing.
And
it's like
how he has Dr. Dre locked up in the basement.
Yeah. Well, that was a joke. Yeah.
Well, I know that one's a joke, but it was still funny.
Well, it was funny, and it was funny in a new way that no one had really done before. And even though there's been trying to be copycats and stuff, but I mean, you can't. So real quick though, we touched on Eminem real quick earlier, but about whether or not people rag on him now, maybe they have bad things to say about him, and I think that can go one of two ways. Like if they're talking about his personal life and stuff, okay. I don't really get into that because I don't really know his personal life. All we know is what we see from the media and stuff. Who really knows what's going on with that guy? But as far as musically, I mean, he's still good, don't get me wrong, but I think probably Marshall Mathers LP, maybe, the first one, which was, I believe, the second album, as long as you don't count the one before he was signed with Dre. I think that was his stride. I think that album, because the first one he did with the Real Slim Shady and all that was I mean, not Real Slim Shady, that was Marshall Mathers. My Name Is, right. That was like the first big single. It was more goofy and funny on that album, and I think on Marshall Mathers he got a little more serious to where he had songs like Marshall Mathers and Stan was on there, and some of these ones that were just, that to me is. And he's been good since then, but I don't think he's done anything that was as good as that since.
8 Mile?
8 Mile, the soundtrack?
Yeah.
Yeah, the couple songs on there were awesome too. Yeah. That's all part of the same era though.
Yeah.
I think that came out right after Marshall Mathers. He had Lose Yourself was the big one on there. Yeah. That's a great song. Yeah, but I mean, that song to me sounds like he probably wrote it during the same time he wrote the Marshall Mathers songs.
I feel like he just writes angry.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's genuine. I think he really is angry about stuff. I think he had a jacked up upbringing. He had messed up first relationship. He's had a lot of bad things happen. He didn't have a father figure in his home, which is something we can get into in the political discussion as well, because I think that plays a huge part in a lot of the things happening. Like you already mentioned, that the reason that you look up to your parents, you look up to your dad and your mom. But I mean, you have a strong father figure in your life, and you have since day one, and you still do, and that makes a big difference into the person you become. A lot of people want to argue about that. And they say, "Well, no, I didn't have a dad in the home, and I turned out just fine." Whenever somebody says to you, "I turned out just fine," I always look at him like, "But did you though? I mean, did you really?"
It's like when you say "no offense," somebody's gonna get offended.
Yeah. When you preface it with that, I don't mean to be offensive here, but
here's the but.
But I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but.
Yeah. See, that's what I always tell my kids. If you're really apologizing, but should never follow that. I'm sorry for that, but it was kind of your fault.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then you're not really apologetic, But anyway, so I mean, yes, he was angry in a lot of his, but I think that's what drew people.
Yeah.
Because he was saying things that were controversial and offensive,
and he just didn't care.
But at the same time, just drew people in for some reason, which is kind of a weird phenomenon, right? Oh, this guy's talking about killing his ex-wife. That's awesome. Like in any other context, if you were to say that, oh, my friend just told me he's thinking about killing his ex-wife. I think isn't that great? You'd be like, no, it's not great. What's wrong with you?
Maybe him and OJ had something in common.
Right, exactly right. But anyway, so that's my take on Eminem. And I when his new stuff comes out, I'll listen to it and go, he's still got it. I don't think he's off. I think he's still talented, and I think he will be until he stops making music. One of the things that was interesting, he said, I want to say, what was the album after Marshall Mathers?
I have no idea. I can't put them all over. I know what you're talking about. But
it's the one with I think it's the one with the... Oh, I can picture the cover in my head. But I think it had the one, Two Trailer Park Girls, whatever, around the outside, whatever that one.
Yeah.
Shady's back. Encore? No, it wasn't Encore.
Back again.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the album.
Guess who's back?
Anyway, somewhere around then, he made the statement that he didn't want to... He was only going to keep creating music if he continued to improve with each album.
Yeah. So, I mean, here you could...
But, so I thought... Anyway, he made that statement. I thought it was interesting because that's obviously not true, because I think he would even say that he doesn't think the music he's creating now is better with every album.
No, I'd say...
So... All right, man. You want to delve into some politics?
Oh,
Your
boy.
favorite topic? Yeah,
Not my favorite topic.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you talk a lot about it. So, do you consider yourself a political person?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I like to share my opinion sometimes, but I have a hard time voting.
Okay, how come? Because you can't find a candidate that you like a lot, or just you can't get down to the polls?
I missed out on last year's election on Trump and Hillary because I wasn't 18.
Trump, Hillary, but you were of age for Trump, Biden?
Yeah, and I voted for Trump.
Okay.
But, I mean, it was rigged anyways.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
You think he won?
Who?
Trump.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you go back and look at the graphs, they stopped. If you go back and, like, do the news, they stopped counting in, like, Nevada.
Yeah.
They had to recount in, like, Florida.
That was weird. That was weird how it all stopped at once. It all stopped. It's like, what is this?
And if you go back and look at the graphs, Trump was winning by a lot.
Right.
And at, like, 3:30 in the morning, Biden shoots straight up.
Yeah.
All these mail-in ballots and stuff. Like,
right.
And if you go back, half of them are dead.
Oh, the people that they had the
mail-in ballots.
Yeah, so they found evidence of voting fraud, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't find enough to make it to where it would have put Trump over the top. I mean, there's still theories. People think there was enough voter fraud that if there wasn't any at all, then Trump would have won. Like they think it was rigged or the whole thing. But they definitely found voter fraud. There's no debate about that, right? Yeah. There was definitely voter fraud. But I think that's true of every election. There are always some voter fraud.
Yeah.
But they never found enough, again, to put Trump over the top. Or else he would be in the White House right now, right? Unless there's all the people behind the scenes that are doing shady stuff.
Would you really want a White House switch a year and a half, 2 years into the presidency?
If it meant Biden was out of there, yeah, I probably would. I would take that right now. Trump would have been able to hopefully
kind of wash it out.
Do better than continuing with it. You know what I mean? That'd be better than nothing. It'd be better than continuing the direction we're going. You know, but I'm not a huge Trump fan. Like if we're talking between Trump and Biden, I'll take Trump all day.
But here's the difference. Biden's a politician. He has an agenda.
Right.
Trump's a businessman.
Right.
He's there to make money. He's there to run a country.
Right.
Biden's there to sign documents, make money for his own people.
Sure.
Like, do what he needs to do, which I don't think he knows what he's doing because he's so old.
Right. Right.
He's just signing things, and everybody else, everybody behind the scenes,
just telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the puppet out front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, it's like, all right, is being the president of the United States even the most powerful person in the world?
No, I don't think so. It should be.
It should be.
But I mean, he shouldn't have full reign either. It's not like a monarchy where he's the king and just he says whatever he wants.
See,
and does whatever he wants.
I don't think it's that way either. But and no one's above the law. And
right.
And you start going through technology has helped the FBI, the CIA, all these government things. It's a lot harder for these politicians to get away with stuff now because emails, all this stuff, everything's trackable. I mean, if you look at Obama, or even just Biden, they confiscated his laptop.
His son's laptop?
Yeah, like how long ago? Like a month ago?
Well, they just released what they found about it. Yeah.
But how long were they? They were trying to move that laptop forever, huh? They're trying to hide it, and
when the election between Biden and Trump was going on, that's when a lot of that started coming out, and they started squashing that story, obviously, because they don't want something like that to come out during an election, because then it's going to make Biden look bad and might potentially make people not vote for him, right? Yeah. There was a lot of stuff like that he wouldn't talk about until after the fact. It's like, well, let me get in the door first, and then you're stuck with me.
Yeah.
Then I'll tell you this stuff, but even then, it took a while for the laptop thing to come out. But again, I mean, the only reason that the laptop thing had any relevance, in my opinion, was because it supposedly was tying Joe Biden to Hunter and to business dealings.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're a politician, you have a son who's a crackhead, sleeping with prostitutes every day, all that. That in and of itself, to me, shouldn't reflect on the parent. as much. Like, I'm not going to vote for that guy because his kid's an idiot. You know, I don't think that's very fair because his kid's his own person.
All right,
He's a
let
grown man.
Let me ask you this. So your son's out at the store, and you know that he's sleeping with the prostitute, crackhead, whatever it is.
Sure.
That reflects on you, right?
Well, it does in a sense. Yes, you're right. As far as your parenting and how your kids turn out, in a way, reflects on you. However, I've known people that are fantastic parents, and their kids still get on drugs, and they still do all these things.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying it's not a guaranteed like reflection on the parent as to where I wouldn't vote for them for that reason.
Not at all, because everybody makes their own mistakes.
Exactly.
And it's how you recover from those mistakes and what you take away from it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're also, say when you die, guess who carries on your legacy, Ryan?
Yeah.
Your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids carry on your legacy. So if you want your legacy to continue, guess who's going to have to put it out there for you? Your kids.
Right. Sure.
They're going to have to tell you, they're going to tell stories. People are going to ask about you. I mean, why do you think I always talk about my grandma?
Right.
Because Jen, my mom, that's her daughter. Everybody still brings up Maria.
Right.
3 years later. Maria was this, Maria was that, Maria was this. Maria was the best ever. And people still come to me. You talked about it to me. Oh, your Nan, Maria, like this. I'm the one that's carrying on her legacy.
Sure.
All the way down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh,
so
for sure.
I'm a reflection of her. I'm a reflection of my parents.
Right.
So if I'm going to make mistakes, guess who's going to look bad on?
Sure.
Me.
I'm just wondering if that's the way it should be. You know what I mean? Like straight across the board. Like, I guess what I'm asking you is, would you vote, like, if let's say you had Trump and let's say you have Trump and Biden running against each other, and then it comes out that Trump's son is I don't know, he's a drug dealer, and he is, you know, he's trafficking women.
That's a big problem.
But let's say
that's a big problem because his dad's running for president.
Right. So that would make you maybe not vote for his
Absolutely.
dad. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, see, I don't think it would do that for me. Unless I could show a direct correlation between his son's actions and the man himself.
Do you not talk to your kids every day?
No, I do. Yeah.
So how would you not know that he's doing that?
Well, even if maybe he knew he was doing that. Maybe he does know he's doing that, but that doesn't mean he's in support. So if it was me, if I was a politician and I wanted to come out, what I would do, let's say that leaked or somebody said, oh, I heard your son's trafficking women. I would say, hey, I have an announcement to make. Yes, my son is into sex trafficking. I don't condone it. I'm totally against it. I hate everything about sex trafficking. But yes, my son's doing it. I'm not for it.
Would you arrest your own son if you're the president then?
If you know the president can't arrest.
Well,
yeah. Would I turn him in?
Yeah.
100%. 100%. But even if I'm not the president,
but these politicians don't do that.
I know. I agree. And that's what I'm saying. If I was Joe Biden and the whole laptop thing happened, that's what I would have done. I would have stood up and said, okay, I understand there's a leak going on at the laptop. My son's involved in this stuff.
But they don't do that. They just try to wipe it underneath the desk and say, all right, it's gone. It's been 2 months, you know?
Yeah, because they're more concerned with their own reputation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that I think it matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I just don't know if I would be so quick to say I'm going to hold everything that person's child does against them themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But,
I get it.
But it also, like I said, it leaves a legacy. It's going to be damaged, you know?
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I think that for the most part, your children are a reflection of the parents, right? But there is also a lot of individuality within people, and you could have a family that's a wonderful family, and let's say they have 10 kids, and 9 of the kids are just great people, wonderful. They grow up to be wonderful humans, wonderful adults, all this stuff, but that 10th kid is a serial killer. And you're like, well, what happened there? Like, did he get some kind of different treatment? Did the parents like beat him and throw him in a basement somewhere and feed him, scraps? Or like what happened there? And then you just find out, no, he was treated the same as all the other kids. There was just a screw loose with that one. Something happened there. He had a mental break or something. I mean, there's stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
And in that case, it's not necessarily something the parents did or didn't do, But by the same token, if you're a parent and you are a drug dealer and you are into sex trafficking, and then your child grows up and does the same thing, then you're like, yeah, that's probably because you brought him up to, to be that way,
That's easy money for them.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
So, okay. So as far as Trump Biden, I know you take Trump, but do you know anything about like Ron DeSantis or any of the other Republican possibilities?
That's the guy down in Florida, right?
Florida, yeah.
I did see a thing on him that Trump's going to endorse him if he doesn't like.
Oh, really? Is that recent? Because Trump's been ragging on him a lot lately. So,
really?
Yeah, he's been.
Maybe it was a while ago.
Okay.
If Trump doesn't get the Republican Party to run for president again,
right?
That I thought he was going to endorse him or something like that.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. And I know that Trump endorsed him, I want to say, for his governorship of Florida. I think that's true. But now that they're both kind of, going for that position of the Republican candidate, I think there's, and Ron DeSantis hasn't said a whole lot. This is why I like Ron DeSantis better, by the way. I like a lot of Trump's policies, but I think Ron DeSantis holds a lot of those same policies, but he also doesn't act like a 5-year-old like Trump does.
On Twitter?
On anywhere. Like he's up there bragging, like he's doing right now. He's trying to put Ron DeSantis down because he's his running mate. Ron DeSantis like, whatever.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm here to run. Here's what I want to do for the country.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, your mama's this. Okay, so, and what I want to do for the country is I want to, and you got this little kid over here hurling insults.
See, but that's what America likes, though.
I know, and that's what makes me sad. I know it's funny. It's a clown show. I get it. But this is the person who's going to be running our country. Do we want a stand-up comedian in office, or do we want somebody who's going to be serious and
I can see where you're coming from, but I could take the childish Twitter play, this, that.
Right.
If you're going to run the country right.
I agree. If my options are Trump versus somebody who's...
I mean, I know Obama can't run again, but what if Obama was in there?
I would probably still go for Trump.
Yeah.
Even though I think Obama is a million times better than Biden.
Oh, me too.
I still think a lot of Obama's his policies I don't like. I don't like... and this is where we get into left and right.
Yeah.
And people say, well, are you Republican or are you Democrat? I'm like, no, I'm neither. But I mean, when we talk about our beliefs and our morals and that kind of stuff, I definitely lean right.
Yeah.
Right. And I would say you probably do as well. I mean, especially if you like Trump, I say you lean right. But then there's other people.
I'm not saying I
left.
like the guy. I'm just saying he's a great businnown.
Yes. You like what he's done, what he did for the country in the 4 years he was in office.
And not only with the jobs and stuff. I mean, I know Biden would get up there and be like, oh, our unemployment rate is at the lowest it's ever been. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be unemployment, no matter what.
Right.
America's lazy.
Right.
And I saw this thing. It was like mechanics. There's a shortage going to be for mechanics here in the next year or two, or in the next 10 years.
Shortage of mechanics, like people working on cars and stuff. Okay.
And that's going to be one of the next paying highest jobs in America. If you know how to work on cars, because no one wants to work with their hands anymore. Everybody just wants to sit at home, work from home on their laptop, drink their coffee, work in their PJs. Why? Because they're lazy. Yeah. No one wants to work with their hands anymore.
Especially since COVID, which forced a lot of people into that already, and a lot of businesses were like, "Hey, we can just pay them to stay home," and people are like, "Hey, cool."
Yeah, and they don't want to leave their house.
Right.
And I think that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
Where that's the new norm now. Mm-hmm. People don't want they don't want to get up and enjoy the grind and put in the work. And I love the grind.
Right.
I want to become rich and start from nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's where I.
Yeah. Don't forget me when you become rich. Okay.
Oh, I won't.
Don't forget the little people.
Yeah. I'll have to worry about this podcast getting leaks.
You would. Yeah. If you ever run for office, this is something they would dig up.
Oh, absolutely.
See, what did he say when he was 21? Okay.
Well, let's go back when he was in high school,
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They try to find dirt on you that really has nothing to do with you now, which is dumb. I mean, we all say stupid things when we're younger. We say stupid things even now. But, I mean, to me, that doesn't matter as far as, again, Trump was running both times.
Yeah.
They're pulling all this stuff out of him. Look what he said here. Look what he said
grab her by the, all this stuff.
Right. Man. Which he never said that. He never said, I think everybody should go grab them by that.
Yeah.
That's not what he said. He said some women like you to do that.
Yeah.
Or want you to do that or whatever. Okay, so he was talking about a certain kind of women who's into that kind
And
of
some
thing.
women do like that.
And it's true. And he wasn't wrong, right? But they run with that and they make it sound like Trump's platform for his presidency. If you elect me, I will have all men be grabbing women. But it's just like, what?
It also shows you that, like, the news, CNN's ratings before Trump came into office were so low.
Oh, yeah.
There was a news story every day when he was in office. Everybody was like, oh, let's do this, let's do that.
Yep.
And that just kind of shows you, like, fake news is part of the matrix.
Right.
You can't. And have you ever seen that video? Do you have, like, social media at all, Ryan?
Yeah. I'm not that old, dude. I'm not quite a dinosaur yet, but
well, just yesterday when you were on your phone, you're like, oh, you just tap on the number and you can create a contact.
Yeah.
I was like, this technology thing's still new for Ryan.
Because what she did is she pushed the thing and it showed me all the numbers of the people that are part of that text chat.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very techie, but yes, I do have social media.
But have you ever seen the one where it's like the news recorder and it was like all the newscasters saying the same thing?
Yes, I did see that.
About like social media news is bad and like, or like it's like they don't check the facts before like
it was a big collage, right, of all these different
exactly. And it just kind of shows you what the agenda is,
right,
where they want to see it.
Right.
Hey, it's all right here. Like when they're shooting down the UFOs. All over the news. Oh, we shot down this UFO. Oh, we shot down this UFO.
Yeah. The balloons, you mean?
No, the UFOs.
UFOs.
And the balloons.
When was that?
Like,
I don't remember that one.
Like 3 months ago? 4 months ago? Beginning of the year?
Actual spaceships?
All these UFO sightings. But there's this big oil toxic gas train leak in Ohio. There's a same toxin in Arizona, like a truck crash. Nowhere on the news to be found, though.
Yeah, because they cover stuff up. And that's the whole thing. And that's what we alluded to that in part of the music section. I said we'd get to that because obviously the media, my stance is that the media is run by the left, obviously, because they have an agenda, like you said, about what they want to put out there and what they don't.
Yeah.
You know, COVID was a good marker of that.
Yeah.
"Quote unquote" racism is a good marker of that because if there's a shooting and it's a white guy that's shooting a black guy, it's all over the news.
Yeah.
But in the same day, there was all kinds of other shootings that wasn't the scenario. You never hear about it.
Yep.
Why is that? Well, because for some reason, this is the part I can't figure out. For some reason, they want to promote the idea that America is racist, right? What benefit you can get out of that? I'm not sure,
and the whole Black Lives Matter thing.
That too, right, which has been exposed now.
I think every life matters.
Of course. But by saying that means you're racist, according to them.
Yeah.
Because that's your way of saying...
White, black, Mexican, and it'll probably be like racist because why did you say white first?
Right. What about Eskimos?
Eskimos?
Yeah.
Every life matters.
Yeah.
Asian, Chinese, whatever.
Yeah.
God put you on earth to do something wonderful.
Sure.
And it's within your power to go inside your soul, work your hardest to pull it out.
Right.
And see what you're capable of.
Right. And that inner person you're talking about doesn't have a color.
No.
Right?
It's a soul.
Yeah. That's what's ridiculous about it. We put so much emphasis on what a person looks like that shouldn't matter at all, really.
No.
Like, it really shouldn't. What matters is who are you on the inside?
Yeah.
You know? But why do we do that? Why do we put so much emphasis on that? I don't understand. And even today, there's so much. It's like, I thought we got past this.
Yeah.
I thought this is the stuff that like Martin Luther King Jr. fought for, that we wouldn't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't matter. Like, let's look at people as other people.
But
you know,
I mean, then you go into this whole Illuminati thing, and I mean, was it JFK that was assassinated?
Yes.
And I mean, he was a Republican, correct?
Yeah. Good question. I don't think so.
Okay, then what about...
but that was back before Democratic was so vastly different from Republican.
Then what about Reagan?
Reagan was Republican.
Okay, but did he die or get assassinated?
He died naturally. He had an assassination attempt.
Okay.
He was shot, but he survived.
Okay, but that just shows you like the Illuminati. When somebody gets in office that's not part of their agenda, that is, all right, how can we make this country better?
Right.
How can we make the stock markets flow? How can we not get into debt? How can we have a good military? Like all this stuff. They don't want that.
Right. Why not? Why? Why don't you want a good place to live where everybody gets along and everybody's happy?
Because,
why don't they want that?
Because they don't want people to see how deep they could get and pull it out of themselves.
They want them to be dependent on the government.
Absolutely. Why do you think we're starting to be in a recession? Because guess what? Oh, here's for your checks.
Oh, welfare.
Welfare checks.
Yeah.
Here's your welfare checks. Oh, all right. Here's $900 for 2 weeks.
Right.
You don't have to work.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how somebody could live on $900.
Right. Right.
Or $1,800 in a week or in a month, because in California, $1,800 is your rent.
Right. Right. Oh, California especially.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not anti-welfare.
I'm not either.
I like welfare, but I think there needs to be more follow-up.
All right.
Make sure that the right people are getting it for the right reasons, and people aren't just milking the system because they're lazy. You know.
I did an essay on this in my junior or senior year in high school, and I got this topic of welfare.
Okay.
And my teacher was like, I knew that she put it on me to like see where I was going with this, because I went to New Tech. There's always, I don't want to put this in the wrong way, but there's always the left of the left there.
Right.
Trans, gay.
Right.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's 2023.
Right.
But I would always be the kid to go the opposite of everybody. To start a debate, play devil's advocate, even if I disagreed.
Because you're a troublemaker.
No, not just because I'm a troublemaker. That's just who I am.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
And I want to have a wonderful debate.
Right.
I love debates.
Right. Yeah, I did too. In high school, I was the same way. I would take the opposing view that I believed in.
Yeah.
Just to see what the reaction would be.
And just to make people upset.
Right.
And just.
Well, I don't know about that.
You can say something and be like, all right. I would say something and my friends would say something. I mean, I remember this one time. It was like 5 versus 40.
Wow. And you were part of the 5?
I was part of the 5 with my friends. And we're like, all right, do we truly believe in this? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But we gotta show them that we believe in this. And we got so passionate about it.
Nice.
And
nice.
I would say we won that debate in class. And
was it an actual class debate?
Yes.
Okay.
It was an actual class debate.
What class was it?
It was English and history.
Okay.
But it was like newer history. So like politics.
Okay.
And a politics thing.
Yeah.
And we're like, do we really believe in this? And we're like, all right. The teacher gave us 5 minutes because it was 40 against us 5.
Right.
And we were like, okay, we got to stick to this point, this point, this point. Our teacher came up to us after class and was like, I never seen you guys so passionate about something.
Nice.
That was like so wrong.
And you guys are like, yeah, but we don't really believe it.
Yeah, and we're like,
we just wanted to be this side.
Yeah, we were like, we just wanted to have a good time in class and joke around about it. And she's like, well, you guys sold it pretty well. But going back to the welfare, I wrote an essay about it, and it had to be like 5 pages long, and I said in there that welfare is a good thing for some people. Some people abuse the system. And because some people just like to sit around at their house, not work,
right?
Collect checks. Somebody their rent's taken care of, whatever it is. And they use food stamps. They use the system to just sit at home all day and do nothing because they have anxiety or they're depressed. Right. Which I think I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this, but depression's a mindset.
Well, that's true.
Because if you're sad, Ryan, guess what? You're sad.
Yeah.
If you're happy, guess what? You're happy.
Right.
What is it? It's a mindset.
Yeah.
So if you're sad, train your mind to keep busy.
Right.
Think about it this way. how does an airplane fly? With speed.
Mm-hmm.
So it stays up in the air with speed. So if your mind is always busy, you're not going to be sad.
Right. It's harder to be, and that's why one of the therapies they give you if you're manic depressive or whatever is they want you to get out. Like the more you stay home in your bed, even though that's what you want to do because you're depressed, you're supposed to fight that urge, break out of it, and then that's usually how you can break out of that.
And don't get me wrong, there's days where, all right, it's a cleaning day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stay home. You know what? Sleep in until 10, 11. You know what? Get up, clean your room, do your laundry. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
Right.
You're still being productive.
Yeah.
And you need you run a household, right? You and your wife run a household.
Yeah.
You know how busy it is.
Yes.
There's going to be weeks where you get behind on laundry, and guess what? Your Saturday or Sunday come around, Monday, your day off.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get all that done because you need to get caught back up.
Right.
It's a mindset, though. If you're depressed, just taking medication, which I'm not saying medication's bad,
right?
But it also goes back to the matrix, I think, of these influencers saying, oh, it's okay to be depressed. It's okay to come out with mental health. Mental health is a big thing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe it is. But when they're saying, oh, it's okay to be lazy and it's okay to be depressed because I'm depressed, I don't think Kim Kardashian's depressed. She has all that money.
Right.
How can you be depressed when you're making $43 million a year?
But that's the funny thing, dude. And this is something I've always talked to my kids about is that you look at all these suicides in Hollywood, right? These people that have everything this world has to offer, right? Some of these guys, they have all the money you could ever ask for. They have all the women you could ever ask for. They got all the drugs, all the stuff, everything that's supposed to make them happy, and they're miserable.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because that stuff doesn't give you happiness. It does not. It really doesn't. It can give you more stuff.
Have you ever seen anybody sad on a jet ski?
Sad on a jet ski? That's an. I tell you this. I've never been asked that question before.
Because they're not sad. like.
I would be sad on a jet ski.
Why?
Because I can't swim.
Well, yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't be sad. I would be scared on a jet ski.
So live life a little bit.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. Go ahead and put my life on the line.
Yeah. Go skydiving.
Ooh, no. That's not.
I want to go skydiving at least once, just to go experience it.
My wife and Aiden, we're gonna go. They're gonna go eventually.
Yeah.
The two of them.
Maybe I should.
And I'll watch.
I should probably do that before I have kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I die,
and then you can show them the video. You know. Be like,
yeah.
Oh, look at Dad going to the skydiving or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, how I don't remember where we were just now. We got off onto that. Jet ski, sad. Oh, depression. So when I talk about, I've struggled with anxiety my whole life.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you knew that or not, but it's been really bad sometimes. I'm to the point now, I did a lot of talk therapy. I did a lot of things like of that nature, read a lot of books up on it and really educated myself. But there was a time before all that where it was bad. Like I wouldn't want to leave my room. I was just constantly plagued with these anxiety symptoms, just weird stuff going on in my life. It was pretty much my whole life. I was in and out of the ER my whole life. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Oh, no, something's wrong with me. Or I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know, then it was around when I was about 33, it got really bad. And that's when I found out what it really was. And that's when I started looking into the talk therapy, that kind of thing. But what I'll say about that is there's anxiety, which everybody deals with at some point. Right, like you're worried about something. You have a big test coming up. You got, whatever.
Is that are you more nervous? Like, could it be that? Like, are you more amped up because you know that it's coming for that big test?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's part of it, right? But what I'm trying to say is that part is normal. Like everybody's going to experience that. Yeah. Or let's say you're driving on the freeway, and a big rig pulls over into your lane and you have to pull over to the shoulder. Now you're sitting there after the truck goes by, you're sitting there. What's going on? Your heart's doing this. You're getting kind of shaky. You're sweating. You know what? That's all anxiety symptoms, but that's normal because
I love driving though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's a normal reaction to what just happened to you, right? That's normal. What's not normal, and this is what makes it an anxiety disorder, is if you're just sitting out in the sunshine, the birds are chirping, the sun's shining, everything in your life is great, and then all of a sudden your heart starts doing this, and your hands start to shake, and then you're sweaty, and you get all these symptoms. Like, what in the world? So that's an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And that's something that I was dealing with
Okay.
and still deal with to some degree, and a lot of people in my life deal with it, and I talk to them about it as well. It's kind of hereditary in my family. It goes back quite a few generations that a lot of us have dealt with. Same with depression. I've dealt with depression, not as severe as some people. Like, I've never been that far down, but to me it's the same thing. We all get sad. Your dog dies. You're going to be sad.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
All that stuff's going to happen. You're going to be sad. Just get up and get out of it, right? Grieve and then get over it, get back to work, get on with your life. But for somebody who's got a disorder where they're so far down in that pit of despair and depression, and you come and you say, dude, just get up, put some clothes on, and get through it. That doesn't work for them. Right? They're not going to do it.
Do you think it might be somewhat of the medication they're on?
Sometimes.
Where the doctor's
Sometimes.
like, all right, let's put you on this medication.
Yeah, right.
And it makes you even more sad?
It can.
Like,
there's even warnings on there. Like, people that are depressed have suicidal thoughts. One of the things, side effects, possible depression and suicidal thoughts. I'm like, no, I'm supposed to take this to get rid of those things. not to make more of them.
Like, as a kid, I ran into one time, they tried to put me on this medication for like ADHD to make me focus.
Me too, yeah.
I took it one time. I'm like, I'm not taking this. Right. I don't need this.
Right.
What? I'm a kid.
Well, that's that's like the most highly diagnosed thing ever.
Just because I can't like sit there in class and be able to like just sit there and write.
Right. I have the answer for you.
Do you know? Yeah. Do you know a 7-year-old that can?
Exactly. Boys, especially boys. Yeah. Right. Yes. Yes.
You're supposed to sit there in class and learn.
Right.
That's what you're there for.
Right.
But sometimes you just need to get up and go run.
Yes. For young boys, that's what they need to be doing. They want to be rolling around out in the field somewhere, climbing trees and building forts. You tell, okay, Billy, you got to sit there for 6 hours and don't move. Yeah, right. That's why I say, all these kids are diagnosed ADD. Why? Well, because they can't sit still in class. Okay, that's like 98% of young boys in the world. So you tell me they all have ADD?
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe 99% of boys in America.
Oh, especially. Yeah, because in other countries, they're already working by the time they're 13, right? They have a different mindset, a different outlook on life.
And I know that we talked about this at work, but did you see that in China that they're using AI in the classroom now?
Yeah, you were telling me about it.
Did you look that up or not?
I haven't looked it up yet. Yeah.
So they have this like robot in the classroom, and it just sits at the very front of the class. And
does it look like a human, or does it look like WALL-E?
It looks like WALL-E.
Okay.
And the kids in the classroom have this ring around their head, and the AI tracks the ring around their head, and they know when they're not paying attention in class. They know how many times they check their phone. They know when they're like writing stuff down. Mm-hmm. Is that the world that we're going to be living in now? Like, because I don't want my kids to go to school, be tracked by a robot, and to go through that. I would prefer to homeschool my kids and to let them know what's going on in the real world, because all these professors in college, guess what? They don't teach a kid how to make money.
Right.
They teach them economics. Mm-hmm. You go to your local JC, I don't see no teachers driving a Lambo. I see them driving an average car that's paid off.
Yeah.
So how are you going to teach somebody to make money if you don't even know how to make money yourself?
Mm-hmm. So you think that's like the end goal, though, is the money?
I'm not saying money's not everything, because there's people that are happy in the world
that aren't making a lot of money.
Making a lot of money.
Right.
Take the Hispanic community, for example. Those are probably the happiest people in the United States. They make the lowest amount of money.
You're talking about like field workers generally?
Not just field workers.
Okay.
I'm talking Hispanics in general, because those are the hardest working people in America. Mm-hmm. Construction, fields, landscaping.
Yeah.
I mean, and some of them do have office jobs, and guess what? Where are they on the weekends? Barbecuing in their backyard, drinking beers with their family, having good laughs, having good talks. Money isn't everything.
Right.
But what I am saying is, How can you learn how to make money from a professor at your local college when they don't even have a business themselves?
Mm-hmm.
You see where I'm going with this?
So you're saying that the professors need to be more equipped before they can start teaching people?
No, what I'm saying is the government doesn't allow them.
Oh.
They don't allow them to teach how to make money in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They want it. All right. They're making it's modern day slavery. That's what it is. And it's hard for people to wrap their head around it, but it's true.
Right. So, do you think, when you say slavery, though, are you kind of like, because like we all have jobs, in a sense we're slaves to our employer, not in a like getting whipped kind of way.
No, not at all.
But in a sense we have to have a job, because if we don't eat.
Correct.
We don't have a place to live. We don't have clothes to wear. We don't have all these things that we cherish in America, especially if you have a family.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, and the way the structure is set up, I guess, is sad, because as you know, I work with you only because I need extra money.
Yeah.
Right? I like you. I like working there.
But
if I didn't need the money, I wouldn't be there.
Exactly.
Right? So only because it takes more of my time away from my family, and I wish I had that time with my family.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, right now I can't, because we can't afford all this, right? But we might look at all this and say, yeah, but do we need all this? No, we don't, right?
But do you want it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because we're used to it.
It's more of, if you go through here and say, what do I need and what do I want? Mm-hmm. What do you need in your house?
Right. Food and water, and a roof. Clothes.
And maybe a bed?
Maybe a bed. But even that's not a need.
No, you can sleep on the floor with carpet.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your back might be hurting for the first couple weeks. Mm-hmm. Then you go buy a bed.
Yeah.
I mean, you go through the list. You got a stove, a microwave, a fridge, a washer and dryer. Mm-hmm. I believe those are needs. Maybe not the washer and dryer, because you could wash your clothes outside, hang them up, do it in the late 1800s like they did.
Right. But they're more of a need than, like, say, an Xbox.
Absolutely.
Right, or a TV.
Because I have a PS5, and guess what? I don't even play it.
Oh, yeah? That's the newest one, right?
Yeah. But I don't even play it now. And it's just sitting there collecting dust. I turned it on maybe... I didn't play it for the first, 4 weeks or 4 months when we bought our new house.
Right.
Or my parents bought, I should say my parents, not me, because I don't pay the mortgage.
Right.
But
you just rent a room
for free.
For free. Yeah. That's the best payment.
I'm roommate number one.
And you get to raid the fridge.
Yeah. Well, I half the time I don't even eat.
Yeah.
I mean, I go out, I work out, go pick something up, and then eat it, and then take a shower, go to bed, and then
you eat, just not at home usually.
Yeah, I mean, like last night my mom made dinner, so she told me, she texted me, hey, dinner's in the microwave. So I knew that there was food at the house, and it was...
And that's always good food.
Freshly cooked.
What'd you have last night? I gotta know. What'd she make?
Pad Thai.
Homemade Pad Thai?
Yeah.
Dang.
And I don't even like Thai food, but it was bomb.
Dude, I love Thai food, man.
I that's something I just can't wrap my head around, is Thai food.
So good. So good, dude. We love that. Bethany and I, we go over to Thai Hut's our favorite Thai place.
Oh, okay.
We go over there like on special.
Have you ever been to the Thai place in Napomo?
Napomo? Where is it in Napomo? On Teft?
Yeah, right next to the Walgreens or CVS, whatever it is.
No, never been there. Is it good?
I've been there once, but my parents and our family friend love it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to try. We've tried the 3 that were here in town.
Yeah.
But
is pho under Thai?
No. I think pho is Vietnamese.
Okay.
Maybe? I might be wrong there.
But I prefer pho.
Okay. That's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
It really is.
I don't eat it very often. So I want to go into this as kind of the last political thing, but this will be a long section. If of your, what do you, as you look at the world right now and you think to yourself, this is the biggest problem happening in our country, biggest problem in our world. If I had magical powers, I would change this immediately. Is the one thing I would start with, because I think it's numero uno on the list there. What would you say to that?
Whew. That's a big question.
It is a big question.
Like, 3 things come to mind.
Oh, let's talk about all 3 of them then. Start with one.
One, I know that the U.S. can never stay in power forever. I mean, if you look at time, it was the U.K.
Mm-hmm.
Then the U.K. discovered America when it was already discovered. Then you had the 13 colonies, and we took over that, and America, World War I, World War II happened, and the U.S. became this powerhouse. Over time, you look at it, and other nations are powerhouses. You have the Soviet Union, China, all this stuff, which I do believe in the next 20 years, China and Russia will be the superpower, and we'll be looking up at them, and it's kind of scary to think about.
Meaning you think they'll be controlling us?
I don't think they will be
country?
controlling us, but they'll be able to start a war with us, and we'll have no shot.
You think our military is getting diminished then? Because right now our military would be able to stand up to that, I think. So in order for that to happen, I think our military would have to really decrease significantly.
I don't think it would just be a wipeout war where we just win.
Like right now. If Russia came over and declared war on us today, you don't think it would be
I think we could handle Russia.
Not China.
But Russia and China combine. Then you have India in there too. Those are the 3 nations that have the most people.
Yeah.
What do we have? They have billions of people. We have millions.
Yeah.
And you're putting those 3 nations together? Yeah, we have nukes, so do they.
Right.
But are we really going to nuke the entire world? I don't think so.
I hope not.
Well, I hope. I mean, you never know with Putin and China's leader.
Jinping.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Then,
I'm sure I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I mean, then you have North Korea in there too. That is very unpredictable too, and they have nukes, so you never know. Then Japan stopped buying oil from us and started buying it from Russia, and
but I think
all this stuff. Then you have the Taiwan right there with China with military just sitting outside of it ready to take over. And if that happens, we have to get involved with China. Then the world's in a very unpredictable place.
But some of those countries you mentioned, I think, would love to take us over and would love to declare war. But I think the reason they're not is because they know how strong our military is.
Yeah.
So I think first that would have to get diminished. Then they would feel like, because let's say they can drop nukes on us. Yeah, they can, but they know we're going to go right back and destroy their stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh that out. Unless there's some psychopath over there, it's like, I don't care if we get wiped out afterwards. I'm going to nuke America. Ah, I mean that's possible.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying our military is garbage. I know that we have one of the strongest militaries in the world.
Right.
Probably the number 1 military in the world.
Right.
But if you're going to take 3 powerful nations and put it versus us, there's a problem there.
So you're saying it's the ganging up on that would be a problem for us?
Absolutely.
Okay. But do you see that happening? Do you think
absolutely
you're seeing evidence that those 3 nations are working together in order to...
I mean, they're trying to put their dollar together to have $1 to take over our dollar, right?
Yeah.
And if you take a $100 bill, it's only worth $80 now.
Right.
$1 is worth 80 cents. So our dollar's decreasing very...
Over there, you mean? Or here?
Everywhere.
Well, here it's still worth $1.
Absolutely. I'm saying on the national world...
Right. Globally.
That our dollar's decreasing.
Okay.
They're not using our dollar anymore. And that's what's scary about it. Because they want to make their dollar worth more. They're not taking $100 bills anymore through the ports. They're using their wands. What's the Russia's dollar? The euro?
Euro is Europe.
No, I know. I said ruble. Ruble is.
Oh, maybe.
They're using their own dollars now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Russia.
Brazil's not using our dollar. I mean, everything. In the next 2 years, the U.S. dollar is not going to be the same. Okay. And who knows? It might be crypto for all we know.
Right.
But
Well, since you know a lot about that, why don't you talk about that for a minute? As far as so what would be? Let's say that happens. Let's say the only country in the world that's using U.S. currency is the United States. Why is that bad?
Because it loses value.
For us, if we leave here, or it loses value here?
It loses value on the world stage.
Okay.
Because not everybody's using it. So
But practically, how does that affect?
Everybody uses the U.S. dollar, guess what? The U.S. economy is great. Everybody's using it. Everybody has to move their money to the U.S.'s money to buy, ship, sell. Everything's in U.S. currency. When that stops, the U.S. everything's going to be way different, because now we have to take our own money when we travel and go to a bank and say you're going to Russia. They're not going to accept the U.S. dollar.
But right now they are. But you're saying in the future they won't be.
They won't be.
Okay, so I understand that. Like, if our dollar only has value here, then if we go anywhere else, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But if we never went anywhere else, is it still a problem?
I still believe it will be a problem.
Okay. In what way? I guess that's what I'm asking you. Because I don't understand any of it.
Inflation.
Okay.
We're
so our food prices will go up.
Yeah.
Because of the value of the dollar is decreasing.
Yes.
Okay.
I see people saying that the U.S. is going to be like Venezuela. With our dollar going to be worth nothing, and people don't even know about it. I don't know how true that is.
Right.
But I do read articles about it saying that the U.S. dollar is just going to be worth nothing. And that's kind of scary for me. I mean, it's scary for you, but you're a lot older than me. I still have to go. I still have to live through this. So do you. Right. But I mean, Ryan, I know you're older.
Ryan,
so,
you're not going to deal with this because you're going to be dead by next Tuesday. So I mean,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, Ryan, you have 40 years to live, maybe.
Right.
Because what's the average lifespan?
That'd be 85 for me, man. I don't know if I want to be 85. That's kind of.
I have to go through it for another 66 years, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lot more time that I have to go through. Maybe World War III, who knows?
Right.
But if I had to change one thing, I would probably to say the U.S. is still a powerhouse, which I know that won't be one.
Okay.
The next one is immigration.
Okay. Immigration or illegal immigration?
Illegal immigration.
Gotcha. We have to clarify.
And immigration in general.
Okay.
I know that there's people in Central America, South America, Mexico, that have horrible living situations. They're trafficked, they're sex dolls for some men, being raped, all this stuff, and they want to get out of it. I get that. But the U.S. could only take so many people per year. We've already let in 200,000 people from today, since the 1st. And
the 1st of this month?
No, the 1st of January.
Oh, okay.
And we're talking about this, how Biden didn't re-sign a bill. There's 300,000 people waiting at the border right now to come over on 2 days, 48 hours. That's 500,000 people into our country within 5 months of the year. What about the rest of the year? What, is everybody from Mexico just going to come over now? Everybody from Canada?
Right.
Saudi Arabia? Like, what is really going on?
Right.
So I think we need to have stricter border laws. And I'm not saying that, like, people don't deserve the American dream. Because what is the American dream? I think it's changed over the past 70 years. Cars, I mean, if you go back to the 60s, cars were still new. The economy was booming, where we had factories. Now we just buy everything from China. People had great jobs. What is a great job now?
Right.
The American dream has changed. And people don't want to open up their eyes and wrap their head around it. But it's changed.
Right.
And the next thing is healthcare. Our healthcare system's a joke. People are paying $2,000 a month for healthcare.
Right.
I think healthcare should be at least $100 per person per month, or even free.
So how do you? But I think that would be great. As someone who pays a lot of money to healthcare and still feels like I have to pay a lot when something happens, like I have a surgery or I have a hospital stay, something which happens a lot at my age, of course, because I'm way up there. But
I don't want to say this wrong, but I do believe Canada
has it right.
Has free healthcare.
They do, yeah.
And I mean, I don't
yeah, but there's a lot of problems because of that, right? Like, it sounds great. The word free sounds great. Just like a $30 hour minimum wage sounds great on the surface.
Yeah.
For someone who's making minimum wage, because you're like, oh, $30 no, well, great.
Yeah.
But you don't look at the repercussions of that. So that's why when we talk about healthcare, I always ask that question, because how can we make it to where it's affordable but still doesn't have the issues that so doctors make a lot of money,
Absolutely.
right? And I think that they should, right? I mean that's they got to go through a lot of schooling to learn what you got. I mean, you're saving people's lives. Yes, they should make more than the guy who's making burritos at Taco Bell, right? Obviously, or the guy who's delivering pizzas, right?
We're making pizzas.
They're making pizzas.
Yeah.
So I mean, yes, that's true, but should they be making that? Well, okay. Here's what I'm going to try to say. I know I'm bouncing around. When I had I want to say it was my appendix. It was either my appendix out or when I had my hernia surgery, one or the other. And I saw the bill pre insurance. Okay, like we saw, because they show you this is what it costs. This is what your insurance is paying for, and now this is what you have to pay.
If you don't mind me asking, how much was the bill?
I don't remember.
Like $4,000?
It was no. My personal cut was like that much. So it was like it was like 60,000, I think. Okay, I'm probably gonna get this wrong, but I know when I was in, I'm gonna use the appendix one because as I told you the story, since your mom just had this happen, except hers didn't rupture. Mine ruptured, so I was in the hospital for like 6 days. Yeah. Okay, so when you stay in the hospital for 6 days, that's a lot of money that you have to pay. And I remember when I saw the bill, I want to say it was like $60,000 or something, some astronomical number. And my thought was, and me and my wife talked about this a lot because it was irritating me. And I really want to know this answer. I guess I would have to sit down with the higher ups at the hospital. Where in the world does that money go? Because that's just me. I'm one patient for 6 days. It's not like you're feeding me steak and lobster in there. You're feeding me. I was hardly eating anything because I just had surgery. Yeah, you got me hooked up to the IV. You're giving me fluids. Yeah, you're coming in with a bowl of broth every once in a while. Yeah, you got to pay the nurses. You got to pay the doc. Whatever. But 60, that's just me. And I started doing the math. And I'm like, okay, if I take every room in that hospital that's for surgery patients, and let's just assume it's all $60,000. And then I did that. For 6 days. So I do for a week. And I say, okay, this is what the hospital charged for 1 week. And then you figure out how many people are working in the hospital. Okay, let's figure that all out. Okay, how much money does the doctor make for the surgery? And I looked at that. He makes hardly anything compared to that $60,000. So I'm like, where is this money going into the hospital? Who's getting this money? Right? Either you're paying your nurses like $500 an hour or something, which I don't think so, because I know people that are nurses. They're not making that much money. No. So I'm like, where's it going? And that's just 1 week. And then you take that and you times it by a year. Oh my gosh, dude, you're talking about billions of dollars that's going into the hospital in 1 year.
From that small hospital down the street in Santa Maria.
In Santa Maria. We're not talking about LA where it's like these huge, I mean, yes, it's crazy. I was like, where's it going? So that's why you're paying all this money. And yes, your insurance covers most of it, thankfully. But still,
if you have insurance.
If you don't, you pay less. Because they have that whole they have to help you thing. If I'm uninsured and I go in there with severe abdominal pain and my appendix is about to rupture, they have to help me. They can't turn me away and say, sorry, sir, you have no insurance. They have to help me.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it costs so much for the rest of us, because we're paying for those people. That don't have insurance, right?
That's what's kind of sad. We pay all these taxes and stuff for what? If I'm paying $10,000 a year in taxes,
right,
and it's coming out of my paycheck, and I only get $1,000 back at the end of the year,
right?
Where's the other $9 going?
Right.
And I'm just one person. What about the other 100,000 people in Santa Maria?
Yes.
I want pristine roads where I can do donuts on.
You don't like hitting potholes?
No.
Oh, there goes my wheel.
Yeah. Like those roads should be like runways, lit up. Like, I'm just not talking just roads. I'm talking buildings. We could solve the homeless population issue. Where is all this money going?
Right.
And I get that each F-22 is $1 billion, $250 million, whatever it is.
Right.
And we have to pay for our military and the gas for the jets, and they have to practice and all this stuff. But at some point in time, I mean, what's the population of the United States? We're not even a billion.
331 million.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, you take that. If And I know the rich don't pay taxes. There's always loopholes for it. The rich stay richer.
They actually pay more taxes than anybody else. But compared to how much they're making, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Right. But they are paying more than us.
Yeah.
But
so,
we don't make as much.
I mean,
so it hurts us more.
How much does Elon Musk make per year? Billions?
Oh, at least.
At least. So where's his at least $10 million going to? You know,
Right.
I mean, if not $100 million, where's that going to?
Right.
I mean, if you drive in Las Vegas, have you ever driven to Las Vegas before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, light poles.
That's when my appendix ruptured.
Really?
Yeah, in Las Vegas, and we drove back from Vegas with my appendix.
That's funny.
But anyway,
too many shots of tequila.
No, I didn't drink at all on that trip.
But
yeah.
if you go drive in Nevada, those roads, I don't see a pothole there. They have lights in the middle of the freeway.
Right.
Like, where's that here? How come we, like, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, maybe because the casinos pay for it there, and everybody loses when they go to Vegas. But,
Right.
I mean, they have a homeless issue there.
Right.
Have you ever seen the videos of where they live underneath the ground, like in the sewers?
Yeah, like the Ninja Turtles.
I mean, it's worse than Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I've seen videos where they say they have their own language down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like people haven't seen the light in like years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, so when it rains there, and you know how like weather gets in the desert, like it could rain like that out of nowhere, and flash floodings.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how they survive down there because it's just water, but people live in the sewers over there.
It's crazy.
Look it up sometime.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to. That's
write
pretty
it down.
fascinating. So it's in Vegas?
Yeah. Look up like the homeless population in Vegas and like where they live underground.
Okay, so let's go back to the healthcare and let's end on that with the political section. So you're put in office tomorrow, and you're in charge of the healthcare situation for, let's say, California.
I mean, it's hard to say
how
because I'm just an average person that doesn't understand healthcare.
Okay.
I barely understand it.
Okay.
But if
so you
somebody,
don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
You're just saying it should be fixed.
If I'm sat down in a room with 100 people saying, all right, let's fix our healthcare system. Because I'm just an average person. You guys understand it better than I do.
Right.
Let's do this. If somebody's paying into an insurance company to go to the doctor, there should be no copay. You should have to pay nothing because you're already paying $1,600 per month to even have insurance, right? For your family. So if you're paying $1,600, don't you think a month? Don't you think that everything should be covered?
Yes.
Because how often do you even go to the doctor? Because I go to the doctor maybe once a year.
Right.
If that.
Right.
I barely go to the dentist.
Right. Right.
And that's free for me. I pay nothing.
Right.
Maybe $10.
Unless you got to get like a root canal or something, then it costs.
Like my finger was hurting the other day, and I took a knife to it to get it like the pus out. My mom was like, "Go to the doctor." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to the doctor."
You're like, "I'm a man.
Yeah.
Take care of this myself. Where's my rusty pocket knife?"
Yeah. No, I got a knife out of the kitchen and cut it, and all the pus came out. And
delicious.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well, that's a pain, man, when you do that. Because remember when I cut my thumb, I was trying to work over there with one hand.
Yeah,
you don't realize how much you need your other hand.
I had to do all the dishes for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We got out there late that night.
No, we still nailed it.
No, I know.
We still nailed it. I was one-handed it for a while.
I'm just
Till the
giving
end
you a
of the
hard
night.
time, right?
You know, I'm awesome like that. You know.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, it's gonna be spirituality time here now in a sec. This part's gonna be fun.
This is going fast.
Because I don't know. See, I told you it flies by. All right, man. Well, let's talk spirituality. This is I'm excited about this part because I really don't know a whole lot about your viewpoints on this. So it's going to be fun. Just a warning: this is definitely a passion of mine. It's very important to me.
Then I'll let you talk.
Well, I'll be talking. I'm just saying I probably will push back on some of your things, but it's just for the sake of conversation. I'm interested in why you believe the things you believe, not so much just what you believe, but why, like the reasons behind it. And then obviously I'll share some of my, why I believe the way I do as well. So why don't you just walk me through your spiritual beliefs or lack thereof, and just in general.
All right, so I'm Christian, and I probably go to church I would say 4 times a year. I'm
Christmas, Easter.
I wouldn't even say those.
Kwanzaa.
Of course, you had to throw Kwanzaa in there.
Well, so those 4 times a year. Why? Why 4 times?
It's just a random Sunday.
Okay. You go by yourself or like
with
your parents
family.
take you, your family takes you. Okay.
My sister and my dad go a lot more.
Okay.
And growing up, my mom was she went to St. Joe's, so they're Catholic.
Right.
And my dad actually was Christian, so that whole thing, my mom didn't like going to church because it was like forced there, you know.
Right.
And all that stuff, so.
Because Catholicism was forced and in her high school?
Yeah.
Did she grow up Catholic or just because she went to high school there?
I think they were Catholic.
Okay.
I believe most Hispanic families are Catholic. So,
in this area, at least, yeah.
I mean, I don't know the facts on it, but just knowing Hispanics, I think they lean more left than right. So my mom slowly became Christian with my dad, and just because she thought it was better, and I kind of fall under Christian with them. So I pray every so often. I'd say once a week I pray. I think I have a good connection with God. It could always be better. I could pray every day, like I should. Right. But I mean, everything you do in this world, I believe that God has something to do with it. But you need to be accountable for what you do too.
Sure. In other words, you can't blame God for everything.
No, you can't.
You can't go shoot up a shopping mall and say it's God's fault.
Yeah, you can't. But I mean, there are certain things that you talk to him and you're like, why did you put me through this? Why did you put me through this struggle? Why?
Right.
Because nothing's easy in life.
Right.
But you could ask questions, and you could always ask God for something. I saw this one thing, and it was like you always ask for God for a present, but you don't know when that present's going to arrive at your door.
Sure.
It could be anything.
Or if ever.
If ever.
You can ask for anything. It doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Exactly. Right? But there's no date on it, and that really like hit me when I was like going through the stuff I went through. Right. And I think that's when I really felt a connection, because I was down. I was very down on myself.
So it's pretty recent then.
Yeah.
Okay. So you feel like you got closer to God through that breakup experience that you had.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even before then, as a kid, we would go to church all the time. Our family friend, before he passed away, our families would go to church together, and that was always good. But as a kid, like, we go back to the ADHD thing. It's hard when you're a 10-year-old, 12-year-old kid. Yeah. You're like, why am I here on a Sunday? You know, like
it's boring to a kid.
It's boring to a kid. But as you get older, you get those tingles in your body when you're there, and you really feel connected. Right. And the last time I went, I felt connected to him. Okay. And that was probably, like I said, 6-7 months ago. Right. On a random Sunday.
Okay. So going back as far as you can remember, you can't remember ever a time where you don't think that you were a Christian, or you didn't believe in God, or you feel like your whole life you've been that way.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were kind of brought up in that, and your parents did that.
And when I die, I want there to be a God. I do believe my grandma's up in heaven, and I will be with her one day.
So you believe in heaven? Yeah. Do you believe in hell?
Yeah, I do. If you do the wrong things in life, you're a bad person. You're shooting up malls. I don't think that God will accept you. Okay. And I think that God doesn't like people that don't work hard, because He put you on earth to do something special, and it's within you and Him to pull it out of you. And I would say 99% of the time it's on yourself. It depends what you want to do in life. And I mean, what you're really put on earth to do, you never know. Right. But I think that you need to have a relationship with them. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
as I got older, I realized that, because when in high school, like my dad and my sister would go to church, and I would stay at home because I didn't like want to go, or like it didn't come to me, you know. So it comes to you in different ways.
What does?
Jesus, God.
Okay.
It comes to, I think it's a maturity thing too. When like I said, like you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. I mean, you pray, you close your eyes, but it comes in a maturity thing too when you really find that connection. And I think it gets put on you at a young age too. But you don't want to be forced into it, because when you're forced into it, you don't want to do it, you know?
Right.
And that, I would say that's probably one thing that I enjoyed about it. Yeah, I went with my parents and stuff, but they didn't force it on me. It came to me at a later age when I was 20.
I mean, they didn't force the experience on you.
Yeah, they didn't.
They did force you to go to church.
Yeah, they're like, you're coming with us.
Right.
But they didn't force me to believe in God or anything,
Right.
which it came to me. I believed it at a young age, and I still believe it now. And I would say probably when I was like 18, 19, that's when it really hit me. Then I started reading the Bible a little bit, you know, going through there. I mean, I have some verses on my phone that like I look at.
Do you believe the Bible to be true?
Yeah.
All of it?
I mean, if you go through there, there's some things that are happening now that you're like, wow, how did you predict that? You know?
Right.
So,
yeah, crazy.
I mean,
yeah.
I would say yeah.
Do you see a difference? So when we use the term believing in God, or like most people would say they believe in, because you have people that believe in God, and then you have atheists, or agnostics, right? That's really the only people that don't believe in God, right? So when you have other people like from other faiths or other religions, let's say Islam or Hinduism or things like that, right? And they're sitting across from me and they say, well, Bryton, I believe in God. And then you tell them, oh, good, I believe in God too. Do you think you guys are saying the same thing?
Yeah. Because you're always going to look up to somebody, you know? It could be a God or in life. Like, I look up to my parents.
Sure.
I mean, your dog probably thinks you're God, you know?
Yeah, in a sense, just because I provide for her and I give her, you know.
Attention and stuff.
Sure.
So.
But you wouldn't look to your parents as God.
No.
You would look to your parents as a good role model, a good support system.
A good mentor, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And, I don't know where I was going with this.
I was just asking, like, in general, like, because would you say that you both believe in the same God?
Yeah,
is the Hindu God
yeah.
the same as the Christian God, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, if you didn't know they're Hindu or something like that. So, like, if you started off saying, hey, I believe in God, I would say, like, oh, yeah, me too.
You would assume they were talking about the same. But let's say you found out they were Hindu. At that point, do you think you're talking about the same God?
To be honest, yes, because I don't know a lot about the religion.
Okay. Well, they don't believe in Jesus.
All right.
They believe in reincarnation. They believe in, there's a lot of different things. I guess I'll preface it with this. What I'm trying to say is all these different religions, all these different
I believe
things.
in reincarnation.
Okay.
I believe there's small signs out there.
Of reincarnation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Small signs. This isn't my example, but my mom, she was down in Mexico one time with my dad, and she has a butterfly tattoo for her grandma. And they're at dinner or at lunch or breakfast, my bad, and a butterfly came up and just sat right onto the table right there, and she's like, that's my grandma.
Could it be, though, another theory would be that your grandma
was
sending a butterfly?
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to being the butterfly.
Absolutely.
So if it's the sending the butterfly, that would fit better within Christianity as opposed to the reincarnation. That doesn't really fit in there at all. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Like to say that the butterfly literally is your
because
passed on grandmother.
I had an instance with my grandma where I thought my grandma had this weird thing with owls.
Owls?
Owls, yeah.
I love owls.
And
I have that same weird thing. I love owls, dude. I wish I could have one as a pet perched on my shoulder all the time. How cool would that be? Be known as the owl guy, walking around with a cool screech owl like on each corner, each shoulder.
She had this like her and my sister had this like weird owl necklace or owl thing, and she actually got a coffee cup with an owl on it. And when my parents bought their house, there was no owls in the neighborhood. But when we moved in, these 3 owls showed up, and like they're always around. And one night I was out in the backyard. I won't say doing what.
Well, you kind of did, by saying that. So,
I look up and there's this owl just flying right over my head, and I'm like, "That's my grandma." And I went inside because my friends were over, and I'm like, "That was my grandma." And she's like, "No," I'm like, "No, it was my grandma because like she had this weird thing with owls, like." Mia and her had this necklace with an owl. I'm like, look, here's her coffee cup right here, and there was an owl on it. And she's like, okay, I kind of believe you now.
But you got to understand the criticism of that would be, yes, but Bryton, owls exist.
Yes.
They fly through the sky. It wasn't like it was some out of the ordinary experience.
No, but the thing was, we were talking about my grandma too.
Right.
At that time.
Sure.
And there was no owls in the neighborhood, and it just
that you knew of.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just came out of nowhere. And it was like pretty close to me. It was probably like 3 feet above my head. And I'm only 5'7", so that owl was flying pretty low.
Right.
To the ground.
Right.
I don't know why, but
maybe it was going after a mouse or something.
No, just went up, it went up on the telephone pole.
It was just cruising.
Yep, it was cruising around.
Yeah. See, and I've lived in this area my whole life. And I know there's owls around.
Yeah.
But you never see them. Like it's very rare to see an owl. In fact, I think the majority of owls I've seen in this area are dead ones. Like you'll see one dead on the ground or something.
That's kind of sad.
Oh, it's sad, but I mean that's because they're not usually out in the daytime. You know, they're out in the nighttime. They're nocturnal. They hunt at night, and you can hear them sometimes at night, like their screech and stuff. But so anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is there's a belief out there that they'll say all religions are the same. All it leads to the same place. It's all, and then they do this and they say, well, look at all the similarities. They'll say, well, look, all these religions teach love one another. All these religions teach do good things. Don't do bad things, right? And that's probably true for most of them. But there's also a lot of very, very different things, right? Like off the surface, Jesus claimed to be the only way of salvation, right? He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me, right? That's pretty explicit. That's pretty much saying I'm the only door to God, right? So if another religion comes along and says, no, we don't need Jesus, we don't believe in Jesus, which is fine for them to believe that, but you can't hold them both together. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
And I have a question for you, Ryan.
Yes.
I never got why people worship the devil, though. Like, why? Like,
well, that's kind of a switch in topic.
Like, don't you want to be a good person in life? Like
well, to them, they see it as that's good. They see that as good, right? Because good and bad are subjective. Really, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because to them it is good because they hate the idea of God. They hate the idea of Jesus. They hate the idea of Christianity, of Catholicism, of any of these monotheistic religions. To them, that's a cancer to our society. So if they're going to worship the evil side of that and say,
Say, I don't know the statistical data on it, but I would say probably 90%, 98% of the world or Americans worship God. How come they don't see it as they're the 2% that's the cancer,
Yeah. Well, I think the last polling was like somewhere in the 70s, but yeah, your point is there's way more that believe in God.
Is it really that high that people worship the devil that much?
Well, so just because you don't believe in God doesn't mean you worship the devil. Yeah. Like those aren't the two categories. You either worship God or you worship the devil. Yeah. Like most atheists or agnostics would tell you, no, I don't believe in God and I don't believe in the devil, so therefore I don't worship either one of them. Right, that's what they would tell you. But to answer your question, I don't understand either. I don't know. I don't worship the devil. I don't see any benefit behind worshiping the devil. I don't see what the benefit is. But like I was saying, I can see I can kind of see if they're in this place where they see religion as the worst thing that's ever happened to the world, I could see why they would choose a belief system that went against that, right? Because to them, they're fighting against something that they see as an evil.
Yeah.
Right? So they would say, no, the devil's not evil, God's evil. Right? They flip-flop it to where somebody believes in God as a good being. They would say no.
What, do they just write the Bible backwards then?
Well, they have a satanic Bible.
Who wrote it then?
Oh, Huxley. I forgot his first. Was it Huxley? Crawley. Something Crawley, I think. I'm probably getting the name wrong. Huxley, Crawley, something like that. I forgot. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, yeah.
Because who says that whatever he wrote is right? Same thing with God. Because
right.
God made the Bible, right?
Yes.
Or who made the Bible?
Well, that's what the critics would say. Why do you trust the Bible? Like I asked you a minute ago, if you believe it, you said yes. Yeah. But the question is why? Why would you believe a book that was written by men thousands of years ago? It's got all this old stuff in it that's not relevant to our world today because,
I mean, we went over it. I think it's still relevant to today because there's still stuff going on in the Bible that's happening today that's still becoming true.
Right. Like prophetic stuff, and yeah, I agree with you.
So if they're writing about this years ago, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago.
Right.
Why, and it's popping up today, how's that not true? How do you not believe that,
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I completely believe the Bible to be true, all of it. There's no part of the Bible I don't think isn't true.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that cherry pick today too, and they say, well, I believe the parts I like.
Yeah.
But this part over here, I don't believe that part.
I mean, you could go about that with anything.
Yes.
Feminists,
Right.
All right, we want equal rights. Mm-hmm. All right, so if a war starts out today, where are all the feminists? Oh no, let all the men be drafted.
Right. We only want equality to a certain point. Yeah.
So if you want equality for everything, have equality for everything. You're going to be in a war.
Right.
If you don't want equality, all right, stay in the kitchen and make me a sandwich.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
You can take that part out.
No, that's going in the highlight clip. That's going to be in the what do you call it?
The intro.
Yeah, that'll be coming up on next week's episode. Listen to this chauvinistic pig. No, that's awesome. But yeah, you're right. Exactly. And, it's true. It's true with all of that stuff. Even going back to.
I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But yeah, so you go back to the cherry picking. To me, it's either all or nothing as far as a belief system.
That's what it is.
Right.
And it goes for everything in the world.
Right.
And that's what I never got to that in the politics or whatever.
Yeah.
But they want all that stuff to happen. They want all the boom, let's make this big conversion.
Right.
Then let's go do something over here where they don't see it,
Right. Right. You want the good, but not the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want all the good, but they don't want the bad.
Right. Well, that's why. But the feminism thing, I've talked to feminists before, and I try to break it down from my viewpoint, my Christian worldview, is that there's a structure within the family, within the world, within within Christianity.
Each people in the relationship has their own thing.
Yes, and it's all equally as important.
Absolutely.
Right.
The man should be the moneymaker. Mm-hmm. The man should be able to take on all the stress, deal with the stress,
right.
Make the money, and provide. Mm-hmm. If your wife wants this, she should get it. That's what I believe in.
Right.
And the woman should be the sunshine. The woman should be, all right, you take care of me when I'm sick. All this stuff. Let's cook dinner. She's going to be cooking. I'm not saying that a man can't cook, because I love to barbecue.
Right.
I could fire up.
Well, that's a man's job, barbecuing. That's man cook right there.
But I'm not going to lie, my mom's a pretty good barbecuer too.
I believe it.
She's a great cook.
Yeah, I believe it.
And my mom does a lot that people don't see. I'm not saying that a man can't do laundry, because I do my own laundry.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure you do your own laundry.
Right.
But
occasionally.
But for the most part, every person in the room in your family has a role.
Yes. But the problem today is that they take certain roles and they say this is a lower form, so therefore it's oppression. Right? Like, let's just throw it out there and say that if it's a woman's role, I'm not saying I believe this 100%, but if it's a woman's role to cook the meals, and it's a man's role to go to work, somehow in feminism and in the world today, that gets twisted to where, the woman just slaves at home all day while the husband goes out and gets to go out of the house and has a good time out there, while the wife's just stuck in the kitchen at home, which all she's supposed to do is cook and birth babies and take care of kids. Yeah, it's like, and clean the house, do the laundry, all this stuff.
And that's not it at all, because...
But even if it was my point, even if it was the way it is, that doesn't mean one's superior over the other. It just is the way it is.
And to be honest, Ryan, I think the woman at home
works harder.
It works harder and is more important because she keeps the household together.
Yeah.
And I don't...
Yeah.
Like...
I agree.
That's a big thing.
Yes. Right.
And I've learned maturing. I mean, you saw me when we first bought the restaurant, and now I've matured a lot.
Yeah.
Just in a work standpoint, but going through things, you don't want chaos as a man.
Right.
Chaos is, you don't want to come home and be in an argument with a woman.
No.
That's
happy life.
That's the last thing you want. I'm not just saying happy life, happy wife. I'm saying you want that to be the last thing on your priority list.
Right.
To come home and be like,
right.
I have to argue with you now after this long ass day.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
You don't want that.
Right.
So it's like the woman at home, or a woman in general, has a lot to deal with that a man doesn't have to deal with.
Right.
But I would say the woman's more important than the man. That's just me.
Wow, that's not very equal.
But they want it to be equal.
I know, I'm just making a joke on your more important than is in well, let me ask you, okay, so someday you get married. Are you going to tell your wife, hey, I would rather you not work outside the home, I'd rather you stay home and
if
take
I
care
made
of the
a
house?
$500,000 a year, absolutely.
So if she didn't have to work, financially speaking,
if I was financially set, yeah, absolutely, be like, hey, you don't need to work.
But what if she says, but I want to work?
Go for it.
You'd be fine with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. If she's outside the home working, you're fine. But what if you have kids? And she says, well, I'm going to put the kids in daycare so I can go work outside the home. How do you feel about that?
I would say that's fine at a reasonable amount. It's a team.
Right.
So, say if I could cut back my hours to watch the kids, I would. If she could cut back her hours to watch the kids, I would. And this goes on at the education level too. A lot of the stuff that these teachers are teaching kids now is all by the government. They're teaching them different things, sex. That should be the parents' job, not the teacher's job.
Morality should not be taught by public school systems.
Even some of the feminists have came out and said, we don't want this to be put in the schools.
Right.
Because it gives us a bad look.
Right. Right. So you think you and your wife would lean towards homeschooling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, depending where the world is in that time.
Yeah. Well, if you ever do, give me a call. I can give you a lot of tips because we've been doing it for over 20 years now. So
yeah.
Well, I'm glad we did the little detour there with the feminism, because I know that's something that we were supposed to talk about in the politics section. We didn't get to it, so I'm glad we did that. But let's circle back to use the great term, circle back to the spirituality thing. So we talked about heaven and hell. So you believe in both.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, you talked about good people versus bad people, which again is kind of subjective in a sense, right? What I'm saying is most people you ask, are you a good person? They'll say, well, yeah. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? And they'll say, well, I haven't killed anybody. I've never raped anybody. I've never, they always throw this horrendous kind of like things out there that they've never done, and I would agree those things are very, very bad. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
So when you're looking at who's heaven's filled with versus who hell's filled with, what do you see there? Like who like what kinds of people? What have they done? What would you have to do in order to get into hell and not heaven? Like what's the line there? You're allowed to do certain sins, but if you commit certain ones, now you're done for. You're in hell. You can't do anything about it.
I mean, that's hard because, like, I know in the Bible it says not to have sex until you get married.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a lot of people now are having sex before they get married.
Mm-hmm.
It's been higher than ever.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't want to get married because of, like, the divorce rate, or like because the woman gets everything in a divorce, or like stuff like that.
Right.
So it's been that's like a sin that like God has on you to technically, right?
Sure.
So I mean, it's always the give and take. Mm-hmm. You can't be perfect. No one's perfect in this world.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Of course. But that's my question. Like, what mistake can you make that will seal your fate?
I think you can make a mistake, a big mistake, and God will still take you in if you learn from it.
Even murder or rape, something like that.
I don't know about. I don't know. It just depends on the person. It depends on how good of a relationship you have with God.
Okay.
If you accidentally kill somebody in a car accident,
well, that's different. That's not murder. Murder means you meant to kill them.
What if you're under the influence?
Still not murder.
But that's like...
It's manslaughter, but not murder. Because again, murder means you set out to kill that person. If you're drinking and driving, that's stupid. But you're not thinking, I'm going to drink and drive tonight and I hope I hit somebody and kill them. Right? That would be murder. But
you see where I'm going with it. As long as if you make a mistake, a big mistake, and you learn from it, I think God will still take you in. And if you had a prior relationship to God before that mistake, He's just trying to teach you a lesson.
Right. Well, a basic tenet of Christianity is there is no sin that cannot be forgiven by God.
Yeah.
Right? He talks about the unforgivable sin, which is, I'm not going to get on that, but it doesn't have to do with sins that you've committed. So in other words, you can murder somebody. You could have murdered somebody. You can even have raped somebody. Jesus can still forgive you for those sins, and you can still get into heaven based on that, right? He covers all the sins. Now, another tenet of Christianity is that if you're saved, if that's a Christian term, right? You're indwelt by Christ, you're a Christian in the biblical sense. You also cannot live a lifestyle of sin. It's impossible. A lifestyle. It's not impossible to sin, right? But the difference that happens is, and I'm a prime example of this, is that there's certain things that I would do before I became a Christian, because I wasn't a Christian until I was 24, that I would do back then, and I wouldn't care. Like, oh, whatever, that was fun, that was great, that was awesome, you know? Now, when I find myself in those situations, or I commit a sin, or I do something, there's a conviction there that wasn't there before, right? There's an inner struggle now, because now he's like, what are you doing? You see what I'm saying? Because now I belong to him, and before I didn't, right? Because like I said, I wasn't a Christian until I was 24. So I don't think there's... But if someone's going to sit there and tell me, yeah, I'm a Christian, and I just sin all the time, and it's great, it's wonderful, I think it's awesome, then I would probably question that person's Christianity. Absolutely. Right? I would be like, well, why you... But if they said, oh my gosh, yes, I'm a Christian, but man, I'm struggling with this one sin, and I just keep going back to it, and I keep committing it, and I'm just broken, and I'm weeping, and I'm crying out to the Lord, please forgive me, then I'd be like, yeah, you're probably a Christian, right? So it's not the sin itself that's deciding that for me, it's their response to that sin, right? Because this whole Jesus is my homeboy attitude that a lot of people tend to have, where it's like, oh yeah, Jesus loves me no matter what, so I'm just going to do whatever. No. And that's not Christianity, right? So, I think
I need to go to church this Sunday.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm giving you a sermon right now, so you can just, take that. No. So, I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? Yeah. Because like you said, nobody's perfect. We all sin. We are all going to continue to sin until the day we die. There's never going to... I bet a day won't go by in our lives where we don't commit some form of sin, right? Every day we're going to commit some form of sin, whether it's a lie, an impure thought, something, you're driving down the road and a girl walks by and you do one of these and you're thinking thoughts about her. I mean, obviously, all that stuff's going to happen. But the beauty of it is we have forgiveness for that, to where the non-Christian does not. They're going to die in their sins, and so biblically speaking, that's who's going to be in hell, right? Yeah. But that's people that don't have Christ. It's not a matter of they committed this horrible sin that's going to keep them from that. So anyway, so it's that's like the way Christianity works. It's not a matter of you did too many bad things or you did enough good things to get into heaven. Because the litmus test is this. You're going to appear before God one day, and he's going to say, is my son in there or not? Right? Because that, according to the Bible, that's what Christianity is. You are literally indwelt by the Holy Spirit when you receive Christ. That's what makes a person a Christian. So he's going to say, is my son in there or not? If he's not, you're out. If he is, you're in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's hard for some people to grasp, because that means there's a lot of good people, right, to use that term loosely.
Yeah.
Somebody who hasn't killed people, somebody who hasn't raped anybody. Maybe they're a great, wonderful human being, but they never received Christ.
Yeah.
And by the same token, there's going to be people that committed horrendous crimes, and then maybe after that received Christ.
What always gets me, you said horrendous crimes, is when the president puts his hand on the Bible and says all that stuff, and they're not. Do they even believe in God sometimes?
Well, they probably believe in God, but I doubt they believe in true Christianity.
Yeah,
Or
because
that they are truly Christian.
It's Christianity that they're believing in, right? When they speak.
Well, in a sense, it's the Holy Bible.
Yeah.
So I mean Christianity is where the Bible comes from, right? And that includes Catholicism, it includes Mormonism, it includes Jehovah's Witnesses, even though those are all sects of Christianity that are very different in their belief systems. But they all use the same Bible, right? As opposed to like Hinduism doesn't use the Holy Bible, nor does Buddhism or anything like that.
Yeah.
Islam uses the Quran. They don't use the Holy Bible. But it's just like a tradition, right? Okay, the president's getting sworn in, put his hand on the Bible, but if it's a person who doesn't even believe that, he could be lying through his teeth. He doesn't care. I'll put my hand on this book that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I'll just spout whatever you want me to spout, and then, we're good to go. So
Exactly.
So anyway, so that's why I like to touch on the heaven hell thing, because that's kind of an interesting topic.
Did you ever get that question before?
Which one?
My question
About the devil?
Yeah.
No, no, that was a first. So what else did I write down? So the Bible in general. When we talk about cherry picking, right? We talk about cherry picking different areas and different things. We say, well, let's say you're a person, and I know you're not because you already said you believe in the whole Bible, but if a person says, I believe in some of the Bible, I say, which parts? And they say these parts.
Well, I haven't read the whole Bible.
Right. But if you did,
would
you not believe it? Okay, let me ask you that. What would you have to read in there that would make you think, I don't believe this? Because
it would have to be out there. Mm-hmm. And I know there's some things out there, but I would have to sit down and read the entire Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I guess if we're coming from the premise that it is God's word and that God wrote it, God inspired men to write it, so it's his thing.
You might not believe in it, and you might create that sin, but he could forgive you in it and be like, hey, like just like a normal conversation, hey, I disagreed with this in the Bible. Why? Like you could ask him when you get up there.
Right.
Which I don't know if you'll remember that when you get up there.
I might be too much in awe of everything around me. But
you can always it's just like anything in this world. You could just disagree, agree.
Sure. Sure, but the idea of God, I think, does he exist? If he does, who is he? What does he want from us? That whole thing.
What does he look like?
Yeah, all that stuff about him, I think, is the most important question any person can ask.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I don't understand so much the agnostic viewpoint. I can almost understand the atheistic viewpoint better, because at least they're making a stand. There is no God. Agnostic's like, I don't know, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. And I'm like, well, do you care? No, not really. Well, you might want to find out, because if he is real, it's probably a big deal that you figure that out, right? And I don't try to force my beliefs on anybody, of course, but I mean, it's. I just say look into that, because it's kind of important. It's a little more important, And they say, well, what if you Christians are wrong and you're wasting your whole life, and you're not doing any of the fun stuff, and you're doing all this, and then you're wrong at the end. I said, well, that would suck.
Yeah.
But I said, but you as an atheist, if I'm right and you're wrong, you got an eternity of suffering coming your way. So you're going to be a lot worse off than I am if I'm wrong. But I'm open. I'm open to anything.
You have to have an open mind.
Right. And I've told people before, if God's not real, I want to know that. I really do. Because I don't want to believe in something that's not real. I don't want to have a false belief system. If the Bible's not true, I want to know that. So it's just because it's that important, And if the God's not real, then yeah, what am I wasting my time for?
Yeah.
Why am I spending my time in the Bible studies, and why am I going to church? Why am I doing any of these things?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Unless it's true. So, how about something like morality?
Can you give me the definition on that?
No, I can't, but I can tell you what I mean.
Okay.
Morality as far as what's right, what's wrong. For example, most people, whether they're atheist, whether they're Christian, whether they're Catholic, whether they're Muslim, whatever, you poll the whole world and you say, is murder wrong? The vast majority of people, regardless of their religious belief, is going to say yes.
Yeah.
Right? Why is that?
Because every life matters, Ryan.
But why?
Because
If
God.
there's no God, life doesn't matter. Right?
I mean, I don't like where this
I'm
is
getting
going.
philosophical on you.
I don't like where this is going.
My point is morality must come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially if almost every person on the planet has the same sense of morality. Not everybody has the same sense, because someone could say, I think homosexuality is wrong. Another person could say, I think it's totally fine. Right? There's instances where people will hold different things. But big ones like murder,
Yeah.
rape, child molestation, these kind of things.
Some people think it's okay.
They do, but they're the minority.
Yeah, look at Epstein's Island.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even child rapists.
Yeah.
They don't see anything wrong with it.
No.
Like, this makes me happy. Yeah. This is what makes me happy, And we're like, you're sick, you're disgusting, you need to die. But it's just an interesting topic, I think, is just where does morality, because I'll talk to atheists and I'm like, oh no, that's wrong. Why?
What, like what though?
Anything.
Oh.
Say murder. Let's say an atheist says to me, Ryan, murder's wrong. I'll say, why?
Because it just is.
They'll say, because it just is.
Yeah.
That's not a good answer.
Yeah.
You ask me why murder's wrong? Because God says it is. Because God's morality is that murder's wrong.
So the law says so too.
The law says so.
Yeah.
True.
That
right.
probably
So
has
it
to
makes
be
it
so.
illegal.
Yeah.
But that's not a moral issue. That's a legal issue. Right? Like if something's morally wrong.
But I think if you have good morals, you have common sense.
True.
Except for the minority that think child rapist is okay. Then you have to go on that website and say where you live and all that stuff.
Mandy's Law. Yeah. Megan's Law? Mandy's Law.
It's Megan's Law.
Megan's Law. Yeah. So so it's just interesting, I guess, to ask that question. Not so much interesting to ask it of you because you believe in God, but it's interesting because if you don't have any kind of moral standard to back anything up and you just say, well, that's just what I believe.
I think morals in general is common sense. Mm-hmm. Because if you have good morals, like you respect your elders, you respect your family, I don't know. Like
sure.
You have common sense, like sometimes like your common sense isn't always right. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm going 100 on the freeway. That's not common sense.
Right.
You're just being stupid.
Right.
But you get that in general where sometimes you're like, oh, let's do it. Like you don't think of the consequence in that term.
Right.
If you crash at 100 miles per hour, the consequence might be you die.
Right. Or someone else.
Or somebody else.
Yeah.
And you're going to jail.
Right.
You could get a ticket. There's consequences.
Sure.
So I don't know where I was going with that. I really don't. So you can cut all that out, right? Just have good morals. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think I knew where you were going with it, but it turned out that's not really a moral issue. That's more of a legal issue. It could be a moral issue if you're talking about the potential of killing somebody, right? Yeah. Or ending your own life through a crash or something. But, So, all right, man. That's it.
We all good?
Yeah. Unless there's anything else you want to add at the end here. You want to plug anything that you're working on? You got a new novel coming out, or a new hip hop album you're putting out next month, or anything?
Just come buy some pizzas.
Yeah. Only the nights you work, though, right? Because you're the best pizza cook the world's ever seen.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning to do. But
yeah. Humbleness.
Humble. You always have to stay humble.
You gotta stay humble, even when you know you're the best, right? All right, man. Well, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Fun stuff. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at whycan'twetalaboutThat@proton.me. And if you haven't yet, please join the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast Facebook group. And if you could please leave a review wherever you are listening to this from, that would be really helpful. I am told that this will help more people find the podcast. Thanks. Here's a clip from the next episode.
And she pulled out like this bag that had like 5 like meatloaf and like whatever, dude, like different dinners.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff, because this fool's never cooked for himself. You know what I'm saying? Like they're old school. Like his wife's done all the cooking. His wife's dead.
Right. So he'll starve unless someone takes care of him. Yeah. And
this church like rallied, and he's like, "You guys are so good to me. God's blessed me so heavily. Like I can't believe it. I don't even know what's happening in my life. I just all of a sudden there's food showing up. I've never been so humbled and so blessed and so beautiful. You guys are so beautiful that Christ's love just shines through you on the day." And I'm sitting there going like, "Yeah,
wow,
yeah, man."
You're like, this is where it's at.
This is it.
Yeah.
It's not this hoopla of like lights and smoke fog machines and all this other garbage just gets in our way, dude. Of like creating ambiance. Like that's where it's at.